From Oakland, the Twins, champions of the Central. The A's, champions of the West. It's Game 1 of the American League Division Series.
Now is the time.
Tick.
For 2 years, the Oakland Athletics have been hit with bitter postseason disappointment.
Jeremy Giambi's out at the plate. He did not slide.
With 103 wins this year, the A's believe now is the time.
He makes the catch and saves the game. Tejada wins another ball game.
Now is the time.
Led by MVP candidate Miguel Tejada and their dominant starting pitching, the A's won an American League record 20 straight games and finished the season as baseball's hottest team. The Minnesota Twins were scheduled for extinction.
Major League Baseball owners today voted overwhelmingly to begin the process of contracting 2 teams.
But the Twins' homegrown young talent has declared the reports of their demise have been premature. Today, it's the Oakland Athletics, veterans of 3 straight Octobers, facing the underdog Twins for playoff baseball. Now is the time. The Network Associates Coliseum. It's the Twins and A's. We're moments away from postseason baseball. The Twins had the veteran right-hander Brad Radke up against the former 20-game winner Tim Hudson. The A's with Hudson on the mound up against Torrey Hunter and the Twins momentarily when we come back on ABC Family.
ABC Family's Major League Baseball Division Series. Brought to you by 1010-220. Dial it, and all calls up to 20 minutes are 99 cents.
It is a perfect day for a ball game here on the eastern shore of San Francisco Bay. The Minnesota Twins, the champions of the Central Division, up against the Athletics, the champions of the Western Division in the American League. The Athletics just moments away from taking the field here. Temperatures in the upper 70s. The wind blowing in from left, but apparently in this big ballpark, the wind swirls around. That means the ball is going to jump out to left. That's what it was doing during batting practice, a real home run hitter's wind to left field. Let's take a look at the batting order now for the visiting Minnesota Twins, the heavy underdog. It'll be Jacques Jones in left field, 27 homers this year. Christian Guzman, the speedy shortstop. Then Corey Koski, fully healthy for the first time in a long time at third base. David Ortiz, the hulking designated hitter. Torrey Hunter, the Twins MVP, 29 homers this year, center field. Doug Minkiewicz also healthy now at first base. Michael Kadire in right field, batting 7th. A.J. Pierzynski, the catcher, and then Luis Rivas, the second baseman, batting 9th. So we're still awaiting the arrival of the Oakland A's on the field here at the Coliseum. The Athletics, who had such an incredible finish to the season, led by that man, number 4, Miguel Tejada, who may well win the Most Valuable Player award. And if he wins it, he will have earned it by great clutch hitting, outstanding defense in big ball games in the pennant race. Every other day, it seemed the Athletics would win a game that Miguel Tejada got the big hit in, including their 19th consecutive victory and 18th consecutive victories when he got the winning hit to end the game both of those days. So now the Athletics, with 103 wins, take the field. It's Chavez over to third base, another 34 home run man, along with Tejada heading to short, 34 homers, and Tim Hudson to the mound. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and welcome to the 2002 Division Series playoffs. It all gets started right here with the Oakland Athletics. It's the first of 3 games that will be played today. And the Twins are a heavy underdog here. This is a young, homegrown ball club, and they won the division clearly by a huge margin. They haven't played a big ball game for a while. And Joe, as they are an underdog against this Oakland club with great pitching, what do they have to do to win today and in this series?
Well, I think there are 2 things the Twins have to do. First, they have to show that they're not just happy to be here. How do you do that? By being very aggressive, by trying to put pressure on the Oakland A's right away. The second thing they have to do is they have to stay close. That's Twins baseball. Stay close, steal a base in the late innings, maybe get a hit and run, do something to win a ball game in the late innings, but they have to stay close. The Oakland A's are a big favorite. I think they have the best team, but the Twins do have a great chance of stealing one here today.
Torrey Hunter, who finished up in a slump, and he was a guy whose name was being mentioned in MVP candidacy as well. But there's Tim Hudson. Hudson 15-9, and it could have been much better than that. He had 8 games where he was leading before the game went to the bullpen that he did not get the win, more than any other pitcher in the major leagues. So Hudson makes this first game start, and Joe, he got a wide variety of pitches, and they're all good ones.
Well, I think that's the key. He has a lot of weapons. A lot of pitchers only have 1 or 2 weapons. All of his pitches are great pitches. The 4-seam fastball, the sinker, I think, is his best pitch. He throws a slider, a splitter, and a change. But he will throw a lot of sinkers, and it's going to be up to his infield to play well today.
Number 11.
And let's take a look at the defense. And Miguel Tejada not only had a great offensive year, he has played great defensively. He's made so many fantastic plays. I mean, this guy's come into his own this year. He is what I use the word superstar. That's Miguel Tejada.
And so here we go on a spectacular day. 6-man umpiring crew anchored by Jerry Davis, the crew chief, back of the home plate. Jacque Jones. First ball swinging. And one away as Ellis throws him out.
And I really do not have any problem with that. A lot of times people say, well, take a pitch, get something started. No, I think if he could have gotten a base hit on that first pitch, it would have sent a big message to the A's. So maybe get that first pitch with a fastball in the middle of the plate, hit a line drive someplace, and get this started. So I think they have to be aggressive. I don't think they can go out and just play a normal game and hope to beat the Oakland A's here in the Coliseum.
And there's Ron Gardenhire, first-year manager of the Twins. Now here is Christian Guzman. Guzman, who had some problems with injury at times this year. Nonetheless, hitting .273. 9 homers and 59 runs batted in. He is from the same town as the Oakland shortstop, Miguel Tejada. Bani in the Dominican Republic. That one almost hit him, a slider on the inside. And it is a ball and a strike to Guzman. He said they grew up 2 minutes from each other's houses. And they played against each other many times as kids. Ooh.
That's a great changeup that he throws. It could have been a splitter, but his changeup and his splitter are very similar. Very similar. I think that's more of a changeup. It's just going down in the zone. The splitter kind of explodes when it goes down.
1-2 the count. That's the splitter.
Yeah, we both know that.
Hatterberg.
Yeah.
He's safe.
Well, you know what happened there is Hudson did not run through the bag. He ran to the bag, slowed down his momentum, and then stuck his foot out. You have to run through the bag if you're going to beat a guy like Guzman down the first base. Watch this. This should be a routine play. He gets off the mound, but see, he's slow. Now he slows up to slow down it to tag the bag. See, he didn't run through it. All he has to do is run through it, and he would have had him. But now watch, Guzman gives the help sign here. He helps the umpire make this call. But watch him. He stops right there. He slows down. Now he stops. See, if he keeps running, he would have beaten Guzman. But he slowed down. You can't do that.
And to his credit, I mean, Guzman sprinted up the line as if he actually had a chance to beat it out. I mean, that looked like a routine play for the Athletics. But he did beat it out, and here is Corey Koski.
And if you're going to find, a deficiency with the Oakland A's, it is lack of fundamentals. They're not a great defensive ball club. I mean, that was just a fundamental play there that they did not convert. But, I mean, they are a very good ball club, but that's the only knock that you can find against them, fundamentals.
Koski, who hit .267, 15 homers, 69 driven in. Guzman back to the bag at first. Now, a lot of the Twins would-be base stealers had off years in that category, especially Guzman. Only 12 steals, and he got thrown out 13 times. As Art Howe looks on from the Oakland dugout and gives some orders to his troops out there. So Koski standing in, perhaps fully healthy for the first time all year. He drives one hard into right field. Going back there is Dye. He's got it! And every ball in the air is going to be a tough call for anybody because it's a bright blue sky overhead this time of year. Any ball in the air is a problem in terms of just keeping an eye on it.
And every ball in the air, as you say, is going to be an adventure, especially to right field. And this is an adventure because Jermaine Dye won a Gold Glove caliber outfielder, but you can actually see that his leg is still bothering him, John. He didn't go after this. He didn't flow to the ball. He kind of stumbled out there. But he is a Gold Glove outfielder, and it is a tough sky, although you can see he doesn't have his shades on, but it's a tough sky out there in right field.
So 2 down. Guzman back to first, and here is David Ortiz.
And I think this guy is the key to the Twins. If he gets off to a good start, they'll probably play him against some left-handed pitching as well.
That's a strike ball, a sinking fastball on the outside from Hudson.
He's the power. He's the guy, and he's a fun-loving guy. He's kind of exemplifies the Twins. I mean, if he gets started, I think they can, and they'll let him play every game, then he'll be in good shape. But if he doesn't get off to a good start today, he probably will not play against the left-handers.
Torrey Hunter on deck, and back to the bag at first is Guzman. Now, we asked Ron Gardenhire, the Minnesota manager, if he would be doing a lot of running, trying to press the action a little bit, take it to the Athletics. And he said, well, it's tough to run against Hudson because he has such a quick delivery to the plate and an excellent pickoff move. Although he did say that he would anticipate hitting and running whenever he had the chance.
I don't think this is obviously a running situation here. I think you have to let David Ortiz go ahead and take his shot. Now, if you get 2 strikes and you want to send him, okay. But David Ortiz, as I said, he's in the middle of this lineup. He is the power in this lineup.
1 strike to count to Ortiz. That is a little bit low. Ball and a strike. Ortiz, who had 20 home runs, 75 batted in, and only 412 at bats.
That's what I mean by the power. Of course, Torrey Hunter led them in home runs, but this guy is a power hitter. Torrey Hunter says, I just hit 20-something home runs, but I'm not a power hitter.
And this guy is as close as the Twins come to a legitimate slugger. He is big and strong. Puts on a show in batting practice. A great second half to his season. And back to the bag at first is Guzman.
But that's the other reason. You talked about Hudson having a quick move to the plate. He also concentrates on holding the runner. See, a lot of guys may have quick moves, but they do not concentrate on holding the runner. Hudson makes that his primary objective before he releases the ball. He makes sure of where the runner is.
Brad Radke will be on the mound for the Twins today. That's on the outside with a fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's the pitch that Hudson wants to display most of the afternoon. It doesn't get any better than that. That was a real hard sinker diving away, and nothing that Ortiz could do with that pitch other than go the other way.
So Ortiz behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The forkball, the splitter, and that is the end of the inning.
Great job by Hudson.
1 hit, 1 left. The Athletics are coming up. Tejada due up third when we come back. Game 1 of the American League Division Series between the Twins and the Athletics. The Twins have gone down in the first inning. Now the Athletics are coming up, and here's the Oakland batting order turned in by manager Art Howe. It'll be Ray Durham, the former White Sox star, the designated hitter. Scott Hatteberg at first base. Miguel Tejada with his best year at shortstop. Eric Chavez, also an outstanding year, third base. Jermaine Dye, a huge second half in right field. David Justice, the veteran, who is very much at home in postseason play. Left field, Mark Ellis, who helped get this ball club turned in the right direction when he came up in the minors. He's at second base. Terrence Long in center, and Ramon Hernandez, the catcher, is batting ninth. And on the mound for the Twins, the veteran right-hander, Brad Radke. Some thought that maybe Rick Reed, who had a very strong second half, would get the game 1 start. But Radke, he's the man who's been there. He's been the Twins' leader in that pitching staff, the man they look to pitch the big ball games. And so Gardenhire said it wasn't that tough a decision to go with Radke in this big game.
And you see the 4-seam fastball, pretty much the same pitches that Hudson throws, except he substitute the curveball for Hudson's splitter. So you will see some curveballs from Radke. Excellent changeup. And I think, I agree with you. He's kind of the poster guy for Minnesota Twins baseball. I mean, he's the guy that's been there, and he's been successful and been a solid starter for them over the years.
Here's Ray Durham. That is a called strike. Now, it's not like Radke is a soft tosser either. You saw that fastball, 90 miles an hour. But I asked A.J. Brzezinski, his catcher, about him, and he said, hey, when people think about Radke, they think about that changeup. That's his number 1 pitch. 1 strike to count. Back out there again with a little sinking action. Strike 2 call. And Jerry Davis has started out with a sort of a pitcher's strike zone on that outside, Joe.
Well, I like that. I mean, I think that, pitchers make a pitch, you have to give it to them. 0-2
to Durham. And that's a pop Durham hitting .289 in the regular season, 15 home runs, 70 batted in. Now he and Radke go way back. Of course, they've been with teams in the same division, so they played each other a lot. And Durham is with the White Sox. He's had 66 career at-bats against Radke and a .318 average against him. He's faced him more than any other Oakland hitter. 0-2 the count. And again, he's still with the hard stuff, Joe. He hadn't gone with that changeup yet. 1-2.
I think the one thing that the A's needed more than anything else was some leadership at the top of the lineup, someone who knew how to get on base, add some speed, and they brought Ray Durham in. I think that was probably the key trade in the middle of the season for them.
On the hands and yanked foul down the right field line into the lower deck.
They started the season, they had Jeremy Giambi hitting leadoff. He had a good on-base percentage, but he really wasn't, your typical leadoff hitter. He didn't steal bases. He didn't, go from first to third as well. He was just a good hitter, and he did his job, but he was better suited to be lower in the order. Ray Durham is a typical leadoff type hitter.
And there's the changeup. Strike 3, tagged out by Pierzynski, 1 away.
If you're Radke, you can throw a lot of fastballs, force them to look for the fastball. Anytime you throw the changeup, they're not going to be able to handle it because you have to look for the fastball, then you have more problems hitting the changeup. Let's take a look at the Twins defense, and Torrey Hunter in center field has won Gold Glove last year, and he probably win another one this year. He makes some fantastic catches. And this entire Twins defense is very good. I think that's one of their strengths. Their defense does not make a lot of mistakes, and they make some plays to help their pitchers out.
Scott Hatteberg and a curveball in there for a strike. Now, when Oakland had that 20-game winning streak, the 20th victory ended on Hatteberg's 9th inning home run against Kansas City. And that was low and outside for a ball. So the count, 1 ball, 1 strike to Hatteberg. Then the next game for Oakland, after Hatteberg's dramatics, was in Minnesota. After they'd won 20 in a row, the winning streak ended in a loss at the Metrodome to Brad Radke. He shut him out. Beat him 6-0 at the Metrodome.
You have to really see Hatteberg, on a daily basis, even though he platoons a little bit. You have to see him every day to realize his value to this ball club because he doesn't have big numbers, but the guy contributes something almost every day to this A's lineup.
Fastball just missing on the inside. 3-1 the count to Hatteberg. Tejada is on deck. No score in the game. And he walks it. So Radke issues the 1-out walk, and a walk is extremely rare from Radke. He averaged about 1 walk for every 6 innings pitched.
He also threw a strike on the first pitch.
So now Tejada. Brad Radke, he'll turn 30 at the end of this month. Here's Tejada, 308 average, 34 homers, and third in the league with 131 RBIs. And so many of those were dramatic clutch hits late in games. And a fastball in there for a strike. Now this Oakland team, it's not unusual for them to take strikes. I mean, that's part of their game. Even Tejada, who is pretty much a free swinger. And Minnesota's attack, they're a little bit different the way they go after it. But this Oakland team, they like to get deep counts, make a pitcher throw a lot of pitches, try to get walks. A walk is an integral part of their offense. Into the hole at shortstop. Guzman, and he pulled him off the bag at second. Rivas had to come off the bag.
Well, we talked about the Twins and their defense. You cannot make mistakes if you depend on your defense as the Twins do. You cannot make mistakes like that. And he had more time, I think, than he realized on this play. Hatteberg doesn't run that well. The ball was jammed. Now watch, he'll have plenty of time right there. He's got a lot of time, but he throws leaning back and he pulls Rivas off the bag. Good job by Rivas to keep that ball from going into the outfield. So he's throwing falling away, and he had plenty of time to make the play. Now, I was going to tell you that, this was Jason Giambi's team before. Now it's Tejada's team. But guess what? This guy in the batter's box has the ability to make it his team. And I think that's why the Oakland A's are in good shape for the next few years.
Eric Chavez, 34 homers, 109 batted in, 275 average. He's got enormous power. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. And every year, he seems to be better than the year before.
And that's why I like the A's. I mean, with he and Tejada, I think that, the A's are going to be set for a long period of time because they're going to assume leadership roles and they get the job done.
This is Chavez's third straight year with, or I correct that, his second straight year with over 30 homers. He had 26 homers the year before that. And you see the progress that he's made. He is only 24 years old putting up numbers like that.
The great thing is one is left-handed, the other is right-handed. That's really a great foundation to start from, to have your two best players in the middle of the lineup, one left and one right.
That one is into right field for a base hit. Here comes Hatteberg. He's not very fast. They're going to wave him on. Kadires throws up the line and off the glove. And everybody else is going to move up. It goes into the Oakland dugout. Another run scores. Tejada is waved home. It is 2-0 Oakland.
And this is the one thing I said they couldn't do, and that was to fall behind early. They had to stay close. Simply because you cannot let this crowd get into the game. And I said the strength of the Twins is their defense, and now it's breaking down. The throw from right field by Kadire was way up the line. Here's the pitch, base hit by Chavez. He comes up. Now, they have a shot at the plate at Hatteberg, who doesn't run well, as you mentioned. But watch where the throw is, way up the line. See, the throw beats him, but it's so far off target that Hatteberg's able to score, and he bounces off the glove of the catcher. The catcher should have caught that. But 2-run score, and guys move up.
So it is 2-0 Oakland. And here is Jermaine Dye, and he takes a called strike. So a single, 1-run batted in for Chavez, and an error. I'm assuming it's an error on Kadire, although the official scorer has not yet
I think
made his announcement.
I agree it was a poor throw by Kadire, but the catcher has to catch that ball. The ball's in the air. If you're used to catching 90-mile-an-hour pitches from a pitcher at a short distance, you should be able to catch that ball, at least keep it in front of you.
That curveball is too low to Dye. 1 ball, 1 strike. I thought Pierzynski was trying to catch it and still be able to put a tag on Hatteberg, and he ended up not being able to do either.
I agree with you. See, that's the point. He should have just caught the ball. You can't let the ball get past you. Like I said, it wasn't a good throw, but you have to help your teammates out every once in a while.
The Twins have made 2 errors in the inning. Over to third base, Koski looks Chavez back and throws out Dye. And that is out number 2. So this Minnesota ball club and its inexperience and the sort of jangled nerves of a team in the postseason for the first time, showing right here.
And make no mistake about it, for people who haven't been in these situations, this is a different game than we saw on Sunday. When you play a regular season game, your intensity is here. To be a great playoff team, your concentration level has to rise, your intensity has to rise. Everything has to be, you just have to focus. In the playoffs. This is a much tougher deal than they played on Sunday.
Now David Justice, he's been in postseason play many times, more than anybody. 107 games. Now with today 108 postseason games. The catcher, by the way, is going to get the error. Pierzynski gets charged with the error on the plate-to-plate.
I agree with that. Again, it wasn't a good throw, but he's got to catch it.
E2 on Pierzynski. 1-1 to Justice. In under the hand, and he fouls it back to the screen. 0-2 the count. Now, obviously, this is the worst scenario for the Twins to start this shakily. It started with a walk from a pitcher who doesn't ordinarily walk people. An error by the shortstop, who's one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. And then another error in the haste to make a play before catching the ball by Pierzynski. This is the Twins who led the American League in defense falling apart. But it's just a 2-run deficit early in the game. I mean, they've got plenty of time to regroup and try to mount a comeback.
No doubt about that. I mean, if you're going to fall behind and you fall around there, it gives you a lot of time to come back. I just felt like the Twins had to stay close, to get the butterflies off. And, it just hasn't happened so far.
Yeah.
And the one thing to remember, everything is speeded up in the playoffs. Everybody runs harder. Everybody does everything a little faster than they do during the normal season.
Change up, down and away.
And that was exemplified by Guzman beating Hudson to first base on that little routine ground ball. When you get to the postseason, like I say, everything speeds up. Your intensity, your concentration, your focus, everything. It just goes up to the next level. And the game, and you have to take your game up with it because everyone else is doing the same.
2-2 to Justice. And off the outside. 3-2. Justice hit .266 with only 11 home runs in the regular season. Talked about retirement, although as you see Chavez at second with 2 down, ready to go in anything here. Justice said he had so much fun this year with this Oakland ball club that when it's all over with, he might rethink his idea about retiring.
I think if you're Radke, you have to be very careful with Justice. You have a right-hander, Ellis, on deck, and we've talked about the fact Justice is a great postseason player.
Shallow center, long run for Hunter, no, base hit, and that is a third Oakland run. Chavez in to score.
Well, if you're the Twins, you just say everything has gone wrong here that could go wrong in the first inning. We got behind very quickly in the first inning, and now it's a 3-run deficit on a bloop by Dave Justice. It's a good pitch, fastball off the plate inside. He jams Justice. But Justice, being strong as he is, he's able to fight it off, and he hits a little flare in the center field.
You talk about some nerves. Chavez came in to score when there's no play at the plate, and look at that. Pierzynski standing right on the plate. And they actually exchanged words after that. Here's Mark Ellis, 3 runs in, all unearned runs, 2 errors here for the Twins in the first inning, plus a walk. Oakland's only had 2 hits. They scored 3 runs. Ellis hit .272 after being called up in the minors, 6 homers, 35 driven in. But I mean, that was an odd sight. I mean, why would Pierzynski be standing at the plate when there's not even a play?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Just nerves. You're just kind of watching, the play to develop in front of you, and you're probably feeling a little sorry for yourself if that ball's going to drop in. He said to himself, Radke made the pitch that I wanted him to make. He jams him, yet it's a base hit.
So there is the veteran, Justice at first, having delivered that clutch 2-out run. It's a foul off the foot of Ellis. It went out to Guzman in fair ground, but it was a foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ellis. Here's Chavez coming home knowing that he's going to score easily. And then there's Pierzynski standing there looking at the ground. And then afterward, they kind of talk to each other a little bit.
Well, Chavez says, what am I supposed to do? You're standing on the plate. I mean.
1-2 the count to Ellis. Tim Hudson with a 3-run advantage now. Still playing the first inning. And that's foul right past Ron Washington, the third base coach for Oakland. Now, Oakland was awfully tough in this ballpark this year. 54 wins, 27 losses at the Coliseum. On the other hand, they were pretty tough everywhere.
Right. 103 victories. I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it?
But there are a lot of empty seats at the Coliseum today. Not even a sellout of the old baseball configuration.
And I am a little surprised because down the stretch, the A's were the talk of the town.
Change up, strikes out Ellis. And at long last, the inning is over, but a nightmare for the Twins. And Oakland is leading 3-0 with Torrey Hunter coming up.
Welcome to our baseball studios. Back to the game shortly with Jeff Brantley. I'm Carl Ravitch. Today, Bobby Valentine became the 4th Major League manager to be fired at the end of this season. Steve Phillips, the general manager, stays on. Is this a good decision, you think, Jeff?
I think managing today is much more about motivating players and much less about managing on the field for the game. No motivation for the players, no job.
Well, as far as Phillips' future goes, he was asked by the media that was gathered there if he was going to stay. Fred Wilpon, the team's owner, said just for 1 more year at least. Back to you guys.
Interesting.
All right, Carl, Jeff, thank you. And here at the Coliseum, it is 3-0. Oakland leading the Twins after 1 inning. And that's the only good news so far for the Minnesota Twins, that they've got 8 innings yet to try and mount a comeback here. And remember, Hudson had this terrible history this year of turning leads over to the bullpen, and then the bullpen being unable to hold it for him, including that 20th consecutive win. If you recall, at one time they led that game 11-0. They were still ahead 11-5 when they took Hudson on the 7th or 8th inning, and the bullpen could not hold it. Oakland finally had to win it coming back to break a tie in the 9th inning. Torrey Hunter, and that is his first hit against Tim Hudson. He is sprinting to second base as Long gets it back in, and it's a double for Torrey Hunter. He had been 0 for 11 with 6 strikeouts in previous go-rounds with Tim Hudson, but he has a clean double to right center here.
Well, Hudson makes a mistake and gets the ball up. See the target and see the ball is up. His sinker needs to be down. We saw him make some perfect pitches to Ortiz, but that pitch is up a little bit, and Hunter goes the other way, and he does that very well. So he found the gap in right center. I think it's very important for the Twins right here to figure a way to get at least one, to get Torrey Hunter home. And that means, that Minkevich has to pull the ball and make sure he gets Hunter over to third base. I know it's not 3 runs, but you need to get 1.
He actually shortened up as if to bunt, and he takes that one very high. 1 ball to no strikes. Minkevich has also not had much success against Hudson. Only 1 hit in 10 at bats. You see how the Athletics are playing it. Hunter, a very fast runner at second after his double. Minkevich had some back problems. Seems to be back at 100% now, though. Here's Hunter at second. And that is called a strike. The high strike. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Minkevich. Now you see some of the top Twins hitters and how poorly they've done against Tim Hudson. Jacques Jones, Guzman, Hunter, Minkevich, Rivas.
Well, it's surprising that the left-handed hitters haven't had a little more success, because you have your choice of going the other way on some of the pitches. Whereas right-handers, he's just tough on right-handed hitters.
1 ball, 1 strike. Minkevich hits one high in the air over into right center, battling that fierce sun. Long, the tag by Hunter. He's going to test it. Here comes a throw all the way through. Not in time.
Good job by everyone concerned there. Great throw by Terrence Long. Good job by Minkevich to pull the ball and at least get Hunter over to third base, and the speed of Hunter gets him there. So this is kind of Minnesota Twins baseball right here. You lead off with a double, you advance the runner, and now the next guy's job is to get him in.
And I was glad to see Minkevich, although he bluffed the bunt that first pitch, I'm glad to see him swing away, because he's a guy who's capable of getting the guy over even on an out by hitting a deep fly,
or
he's also liable to hit one out of the ballpark or a double or something.
I agree with you. I think he was just faking to get Chavez to come in a little bit at third base.
Here's Kadire, Michael Kadire. That is a fair ball, and they get him home. Down the left field line into the corner. So Hunter scores, and Kadire is into second base, and he delivers immediately. So Kadire, who gets the start, a guy who had only 112 at-bats in the regular season, but they liked the way he was swinging it against some tough pitchers lately, so they put him in there, and he has paid off already.
Well, it's supposed to be another sinker. See, it's up. He has gotten 2 pitches up. One to Torrey Hunter, and here to Kadire, and both of them have hit it hard, and the 2 doubles played a run. And again, that's Minnesota Twins baseball. They just kind of use their speed. Everybody does what they're supposed to do, including Minkevich, and they get the job done. It's much easier to hit with that runner at third base in less than 2 outs than to have to try to drive him in from second with 1 out.
Now here's A.J. Pierzynski. And the change up with the splitter.
It's hard for me to tell, John, except the break, on his splitter and his changeup. The speed is pretty similar.
Pierzynski, who hit over 300 for the Twins this year, 300, in fact, hit right at 300. That's Kadire at second base, 1 out. And he lays off 2 high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, this may well help the Twins settle down a little bit.
No doubt about it. I mean, and it also puts it lets Tim Hudson know that we're not going to roll over. Anytime, until you show the pitcher that you can hurt him, his confidence level just stays at 100%. But every time you score a run or you should get some runners on base, he has to start to wonder.
That's bounced foul by Pierzynski. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, both of the pitches that have been hit this inning have been up. Now watch the target. Here's the target down here. Pitch is up. Torrey Hunter goes the other way. Target's down here, and the pitch is up, and Kadire pulls it. So Tim Hudson, in order to contain these Twins, just has to keep the ball down. And when he keeps the ball down, they're just not going to hit it that hard.
Torrey Hunter, a real leader for the Twins, their MVP most of the year, and talked about as an MVP candidate in the league until that slump late in the season. And he gets him started here after they fell behind by 3 with a double. Pierzynski, and that's a foul off to the left. Now Pierzynski, I was talking to him before the game. He only walked 13 times this year. Had 440 official at bats. And Kirby Puckett was standing down there. And Kirby said, well, they used to tell me the same thing. They wanted me to walk more often. He says, finally, one year I got 68 walks. Usually I got 30 or 40. And I hit 2 aces. I said, the heck with that. And Pierzynski says, right on, Kirby. I mean, he goes up there to hack.
You know, it's funny, if a guy is a free swinger and he's not used to walking a lot, when he does walk, his average always suffers. I mean, I saw it with a great player like Pete Rose. That happened to him.
Now look at that. He's going down after that splitter and fighting it off.
If you're a free swinger, I mean, you're pretty much going to swing if you think that you can get good wood on the ball. It's not a matter of whether it's in the strike zone or not, or where the pitch is. It's just a matter of whether you think you can get good wood on it.
Outfield seats on a beautiful day here on the eastern side of San Francisco Bay. The Network Associates Coliseum, the home of the Athletics and the Oakland Raiders, who played here on Sunday. And that is a foul. Still 1-2. Pierzynski keeps battling here with Tim Hudson. Now, because the Raiders played here, we can still see faintly some of the yard markers. The 50-yard line goes right up to the pitcher's mound. And out in center field, look down there at the bottom of the screen. I mean, there's a lot of grass that's missing out there because they bring the seats out, install seats out there for football. So there's some real rough going out there in center field and toward left and right center. A little flare along the left field line. That's going to fall. Base hit. Stopping is Kadire. He wasn't sure if it was going to fall or not, and Justice was trying to deke him into believing he could catch it. But Pierzynski wins that duel, and the Twins have a run home and are threatening to get more.
And what a duel it was. I mean, a great job by Pierzynski just to stay alive on some of those great pitches that Hudson threw. So finally Hudson had said, I have to try to jam him. So he goes inside. It doesn't go inside. Actually, he tried to jam him, and he hits it off this handle anyway, and he flares it down the left field line.
He fouled 3 2-strike pitches away before he finally blooped that one in.
Well, the pitch was supposed to go inside. They were trying to jam him, and he didn't get it inside. But you have to give the Twins credit. They're putting the ball in play. They had a chance to strike out a couple of times, but they put the ball in play. And they're going to play back for double play, of course, in this situation. Hudson just has to make a pitch. He has to get the ball down, a splitter down, or the sinker down.
Luis Rivas. And there's that bluff toward third and the look toward first. Back to the bag at first. Pierzynski only stole 1 base all year. What about a little hit and run action here, Joe?
I don't think the Twins, I think they're just going to go play it out. I think they feel like if Rivas puts the ball in play, he's going to be tough to double up and just give your guys a chance to hit.
He runs well. Low and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. The battle there with Pierzynski, the first time one of Ron Gardenhire's hitters really stretched Hudson out. I mean, he'd been going 1-2 pitches and out. And then to the next hitter until Pierzynski engaged him a little bit. But Kadire at third, Pierzynski at first.
The one thing I've said about this series all along is that this is the Twins, in my opinion, best chance to try to steal one right away because they have their best lineup in there. That's all their left-handed hitters. Tomorrow they'll have Mulder out there for the A's left-hander, and then they'll have Zito. Those two guys are very difficult for the Twins to handle because they're a better team when they can put their left-handed hitters out there than they are when they put their right-handed hitters out there.
The third, and this could be two. Here's one. Ellis back to first. Boom! Double play.
Great play there by Chavez.
That ball was drilled right near his left foot, and he fielded it cleanly. So just the one for the Twins. 3-1 Oakland. The Oakland Athletics with a 3-run first inning, all unearned runs, 2 Minnesota errors, but the Twins come right back against Tim Hudson and get one of their own. And Tim Hudson, although he got out of the inning with a double play ball, he was not too happy with himself when he got back to the dugout.
Well, he knows exactly, that he let the Twins off the hook, if you want to use that expression. I mean, the Twins feel like they're back in this ball game now because they know that they can hurt Hudson, and he knows they can hurt him.
Now Brad Radke, who really should not have been scored on in that first inning, but his defense really let him down. And here is Terrence Long taking a curveball very high, 1 ball to no strikes. Long, who did not have a very strong season with the bat, hitting only .240, 16 homers, 67 batted in. And forever maligned for his defense, but he made one of the great plays of any center fielder in the American League this year at Fenway Park back in August. And although it was a few days before they started that 20-game winning streak, most of the Athletics would tell you that was the real turning point of their season.
Well, it was a difference between winning a game and losing a game in Fenway Park, and he made the catch and they won the ball game. But he's actually played much better defense this year than in the past. I mean, he's made some fantastic plays, like the one in Boston to help seal the victory.
Well, they not only won that game in Boston, but that gave them the series. They won it 2 out of 3 there. Then they went to Yankee Stadium and also won 2 out of 3. And at the time, they were in third place in the West. That one into right field, starting in Kadire, now drifts back, goes back quickly now. As that ball carries, and near the 362 marker makes the catch.
And we saw Tim Hudson upset, but he should be happy that he got out of that inning with only the 1 run. Great play at third base by Chavez. See, he's in tight. See, watch it. This is just reaction. Because third base is a reactionary position. You just have to react to the ball. You don't have time to move around, to do a lot of things. You just have to react. And it was a pretty easy turn for Mark Ellis because it was a great play by Chavez at third base. I mean, you just react to that ball. You didn't have time to, gauge the hop or anything. You just have to use your hand-eye coordination. They did a great job.
Now Ramon Hernandez, the Oakland catcher. And that's a foul. Out of play against Radke. 0-1 the count. Now, it almost looked like Chavez himself was a little surprised that he caught it clean.
It was a lot of times, John, you do not see, we talk about seeing the ball into the glove. You can't do that all the time. Balls hit that sharply. You just put your glove where you think it's going to be and hope it ends up there. I mean, that's the way it goes.
We saw it in super slow-mo. Almost looks easy by comparison. I mean, that ball got there in the blink of an eye.
When you're playing in, he was playing in, baseline. In case a chopper was hit so he could come to the plate. When that ball is hit off of that grass, it skids, it does a lot of different things. But he was able to handle it. They're working on their fashion statements, high pant legs today.
Here's that double play, Joe, in full speed.
Look how close he is. But guess what? Once he knew he had it, he turned and made a great throw to second base. And that's the key. You have to give the guy at second base a good throw there.
And the difference between a club that's been here before and one that hasn't been there. I mean, a lot of things could have gone wrong.
Correct.
On first catching that ball and then making that throw. If he doesn't make a good throw and they don't get the double play, a run scores.
Yeah. There's no doubt that the A's feel like they're seasoned veterans now as far as playoff competition is concerned, and that's going to help them because it helps your confidence.
Hernandez chases the fastball out of the zone, strike 3, 2 down. Now this was the base hit by Pierzynski with Kadire at second. Kadire just didn't get a read on it, although it fell well in front of Justice, so he didn't score. And Torrey Hunter pretty frustrated.
Well, and that's the difference in a run. I mean, it's going to be a 3-2 ball game.
down the left field line, and that's going to go over the head of Jacques Jones off the bat of Ray Durham. Well, the ball is carrying today here at the Coliseum. It's a hitter's day, at least so far.
I want to address that play that we talked about, Justice, and we saw Torrey Hunter upset. What you have to do if you're on second base, you look around and see where the outfield is playing. And you gauge, that's the way you gauge whether you can score on the ball or not. Ball running away just a little bit off the plate, but Durham is really a good hitter, especially left-handed. And he hits this ball hard to left center down the left field line, and it ends up a double with 2 outs, gives the A's a chance to score here.
But you mean Kadire?
You have to look around before the ball's hit. See where every outfielder is playing so you'll know where the holes are.
Here's Hatteberg. He walked his first time, and that's a strike on the outside. Kadire, of course, is a very raw rookie. I mean, his first year in the big leagues and only 112 big league at-bats before today.
And the other thing is, John, you don't want to make a mistake. That's part of the problem, is being relaxed in the playoffs and knowing how to handle that pressure. You can't be afraid to make mistakes. And you play it safe, you're going to end up at home pretty soon. And that's the way it goes.
The thing that really hurts the Twins, and we talked to Ron Gardner before the game about it, that's the kind of play where they're supposed to be aggressive and get the run.
Well, I talked about the fact that I thought they had to be aggressive, show the A's that they weren't just happy to be here. And look, that's not an easy play to make, but it's one that you have to be able to gauge and know that Justice doesn't run that well and all the other things that goes with it.
Hatteberg pops it up right out toward the mound. Now it drops and a run will score. And it goes on for the Twins. Durham ran hard all the way and he scores from second on a ball that didn't even reach the pitcher's mound.
John, I think the guy that should get some credit is Durham, and you just gave it to him. A lot of guys will just jog on that ball and they would not score. What happened there was Radke, in my opinion, he should have stayed on the mound and directed traffic. But he came off like he was going to catch it. It looked like he even had his hands up. I think he was trying to block the sun. Now watch, he comes up, he's got his hands up. He's trying to block the sun. See, now he dropped his hands and no one actually called the ball. Not one infielder called the ball. You see, Radke, now he backs off. But he went out there with his hands up like he was going to catch the ball. But someone else should have taken charge. I don't know exactly what was happening, but like you said, give Durham, credit. And that's what I said. Everyone runs harder. Everything is upgraded in the playoffs.
Now Tejada and a changeup for a strike. Now it is 4-1, and the Twins have given away all 4 of those runs. Oakland should not have scored any runs.
You're right. I don't know, but I think the fact that Radke came off the mound with his hands up, I think that really, sent the wrong message to the other infield. But I think he was just trying to shade his eyes from the sun.
That's deep and foul as the fans chant MVP. The Network Associates Coliseum. 4-1, Oakland out in front. The last guy going for that ball is the catcher, Pierzynski.
Exactly. Well, you got a third baseman and a first baseman. Those are the guys that normally make those plays. It's a tougher play to catch that ball with a catcher's glove.
And he's going out after. The other guys are coming in toward the ball and looking up at the ball. But Minkiewicz is wearing a microphone. Let's listen in on that play.
I can't get to that playing back.
No, and I didn't hit it very high. The pitcher's got to get there.
Hatteberg, his assessment was that Radke should have caught it.
Well, and maybe he did go out there like he could have. But if you're not intent on catching the ball, you shouldn't be in the play. If you're a pitcher, if you're not going to catch the ball, stay on the mound and direct traffic.
Hatteberg was up, a left-handed power hitter. Minkiewicz started way back, deep behind the bag at first base.
Well, I think that Radke could have caught the ball, but he's got to go catch it. But if you're not going to go catch it, then don't get involved.
Tejada safe on an error his first time. There's Koski, nice pickup like a hockey goaltender in the dirt. Minkiewicz can't get it. though, it continues to go poorly for the Twins. And Hatterberg, who raced hard, ends up at third on that play. And Gardner, he probably just can't believe his eyes.
Well, I see something here. You know, we'll show you Koski's play here. He's playing it safe. Watch him. He gets down on a knee to catch this ball. See that? Now that's playing it safe, because I think they've made so many errors, he wanted to make sure. And when you do that, you're really not feeling your position like you normally would. We've seen him catch a ball earlier this inning in the ball game. He goes and gets it, takes his pro hop, gets his feet right, and throws to first base. What he was making sure of there is that that ball didn't go through. And you can't play safe like that. You just make your normal play. But again, I mean, it's the one thing the Twins can look at and say, hey, we're making bad plays here, we'll settle down, and we still have a long ways to go. That's the way they have to look at it.
Rick Anderson, the pitching coach, out to the mound to talk with Radke. I mean, he played that ball like a hockey goaltender, which he used to be.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's making sure. I mean, you're making sure that you catch the ball. That means that, you know, that you're thinking other than your normal thoughts. You're thinking, well, I have to make sure I catch this ball. Instead of playing it like he normally does, he's one of the best third basemen in the league, just make the play. When you go down on a knee at third base like that, unless the ball's hit like a shot, it becomes a very difficult play, because you have to get up, get your feet moving, and then throw across a long throw across the diamond.
So now Chavez, after Tejada reached on an error in the first inning, Chavez singled home a run. That's a strike, ended his 0-1. I mean, the Twins gave up 50 unearned runs the whole season. Only 3 teams in both leagues gave up fewer unearned runs than did the Twins. Only 1 American League team. And yet, they're just falling all over themselves out here. And that is going to bring in at least 1 more. Hunter over to cut it off in the alleyway. Hatterberg scores. Tejada races over to third. And the Athletics are ahead 5-1.
And I said Chavez could make this his team. He can do that in the postseason. I mean, he's got a chance, you know, to lead them in the postseason. Even though Tejada has led them most of the season, he's got a chance to do the same thing here in the postseason. Fastball on the inside part of the plate, up a little bit, but Chavez gets a piece of it, lines it in the right center field.
So another unearned run. Kyle Loesch, young right-hander, gets up in the bullpen. We're only in the second inning. The Twins have committed 3 errors, and those are just the errors of commission.
Right.
I mean, they've had base running mistakes and any number of other errors. I mean, the hit that drove in the first run of this inning was a pop-up that didn't even get as far as the pitcher's mound.
And that obviously should have been the 3rd out of the inning.
Tim Hudson, the beneficiary of all of this. Charity by the Twins, and the changeup is too low. 2-0 to Jermaine Dye. Dye had a huge second half after missing the early part of the season and starting slowly when he did get in there. But he had 18 home runs the second half of the year. There you see it. Popped up. Now who's going for this one? This time Minkiewicz. Look out! Koski crashed right into the pitcher, Radke, and that saved Koski from crashing into Minkiewicz. The Twins record the out there in spite of themselves.
Welcome back to our baseball studios. The Texas Rangers joined the parade, announcing today that Jerry Narron will not return next season as manager. He may, however, stay with the organization in another capacity. That means to this point, we will have 5 new managers next season when the baseball season begins come springtime. 5 new managers. Jerry Narron replaced as Texas manager. John and Joe, back to you.
Okay, Carl, thank you. Meanwhile, the Oakland Athletics have had 5 runs handed to them by the Minnesota Twins, whose foundation has been built on defense.
And the thing is, John, I talked about that was one of the strengths of their team is their defense, and they do not make many mistakes. But again, it's clearly, it has to be, first game jitters in the postseason, because this is a good ball club. I've seen them play all year long, and I've not seen them make this many mistakes in the whole season.
And meanwhile, Jock Jones is the leadoff man here, and he has swung at every pitch he's seen so far today, including the first pitch of the game. Until there, and that almost looked like a cut fastball running in, almost hitting him on the hip with a knee. Jones hit the first pitch of the game to the second baseman Ellis. Tim Hudson with a 5-1 lead. That is held. The foul tip held by Hernandez. Strike 3. 2 runs in the second for the Oakland A's. Starting with this pop-up by Hatterberg.
Well, let's look. All right, here's the problem I have. Koski playing that deep. With a left-handed hitter up, there's no reason, and a runner at third. I don't know why you would play that deep. If he hits a chopper down there, you can't throw him out anyway because he's left-handed. See, that's why he can't get there. But I don't understand why he's playing so deep in that situation. And Minkevich, you could see he was back also.
Guzman over the mound. Barehanded attempt by Tejada, but it wouldn't have mattered. No. Guzman, who has excellent speed, and he's very good at that play.
Well, that's a great play if you can execute it. What he does is he just kind of runs up. Now he gets a running start. Watch, he's running. He's moving already. He's already 2 steps down the line before that ball gets to Tim Hudson. He got a break now, chopping it over Hudson's head. You usually try to chop that to shortstop. And, if he doesn't get it high enough, Hudson obviously could catch it. But you try to chop it to shortstop to beat it out. And he ends up going to shortstop anyway.
In effect, he swung at it, but really I'm calling that a bunt.
Yeah, it is. It's a swinging bunt. That's what Matty Alou used to do that all the time, except he would drag the ball to shortstop. The same thing. That's the effect that you're trying to get, is you want the ball to go to shortstop because he's the deepest player in the infield.
Yeah, he used to be real good with the Blue Jays. Tony Fernandez.
Right.
He had that little kind of slug bunt over to the shortstop. So Guzman gets aboard. Koski, the hitter, he drove one deep to right his first time. That's just off the outside. And Hudson, a little surprised. I think he was thinking he was getting that call earlier in the game. 2-0 the count. Tim Hudson. Now, talk about giving away the store. The Twins have given Oakland 5 runs. And then they failed to score a run that they should have scored themselves. That's a lot of hardship to overcome in one day.
And definitely when you're playing a good team, the Oakland A's are a good team. You can make some mistakes during the season against, average teams and come back and get away with it. You cannot make mistakes like this against a good team.
So now the Twins are going to try and prove that statement wrong. That ball is hit high and deep and is on its way. That may land somewhere outside the Metrodome. What a shot by Corey Koski, and the Twins are right back into the game. If they could just quit giving it all away to Oakland, they might still have a chance in this one.
Well, Koski did a good job last time of fighting him off and hitting the ball hard to right field. This time, what happened in this situation is he got behind, and he allowed Koski to be able to sit on a fastball, and he tried to get it in, and he did not get it in. Well, it was supposed to be away, but he does get it middle of the plate. He does not get it on the inside corner. That ball there is in the middle of the plate, and there's no doubt about this.
Oh man, hit the facing of the second deck. That is a big fly. Not many reach the second deck out there in either right or left field, and that one hit the facing of the second deck. So Koski makes it 5-3, and then there's a liner to right is hanging and into the glove of Dye. So Ortiz slugged one and just couldn't make it drop.
Well, the one thing, they've hit a couple of other balls hard off of Hudson. A great play by Chavez at third, and another line drive off the bat of Koski that Dye made a play on. This ball's just hit too hard.
So 2 down, and now Torrey Hunter, who started the second inning with a double into right center. So he is 1 for 1, facing a longtime nemesis of his, Tim Hudson, his double here was the first time he'd ever had a hit against Hudson.
And this is kind of shows you what the Twins are. I mean, they're a young team, and young teams don't know how to quit. They just keep fighting and keep fighting.
So this notion that you can't give away all these runs to a good team and expect to win,
I think
they're not thinking that.
No, they're not thinking that. I mean, they're thinking, hey, we just have to go play and keep playing. And they may make some more mistakes, but I see now that they're not going to give up no matter what. They're going to keep playing. And that's what you're supposed to do.
I feel like they've made enough mistakes to last them through the rest of the postseason, Joe. I mean, if they keep making more mistakes, I don't see the postseason lasting too much longer for them.
You can't, and I'll say it again, I'll repeat that. You just can't make a lot of mistakes against a good team and expect to keep winning.
Torrey Hunter gets a walk. So Hunter is aboard, and Minkiewicz is coming up. More playoff action tonight. The Angels at the big ballpark in the Bronx. It will be Jared Washburn up against the Rocket, Roger Clemens. That game will be on Fox at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Followed by the St. Louis Cardinals. Tony La Russa's gang with Pujols and Edmonds and Edgar Renteria. Cardinals will have Matt Morris on the mound against the Diamondbacks and Randy Johnson in Phoenix. Then tomorrow, right here on ABC Family at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, the Giants and the Braves at Turner Field. The Giants going with Russ Ortiz against Tom Glavine. Game 2 of the Twins and Athletics right here from the Coliseum, 4 Eastern and 1 Pacific on ABC Family. And then the Angels and Yankees tomorrow night again on Fox. Joe Mays tomorrow for the Minnesota Twins against Mark Mulder. A 4-game winner against a 19-game winner, but you have to sort of qualify that because Mays was a 17-game winner last year, missed a lot of this season with injury. But a guy that Ron Gardner still has a lot of faith in because he just has such great stuff.
And Mulder would have won 20 games this year as well, John. He missed a lot of the season early in the season. He missed a lot of games too.
He was in the DL for about a month. There's Joe Mays. All right, Minkiewicz. He flied out to right center his first time. And a changeup that floats in very high. 1 ball and no strike. So Hudson had just not found himself here yet.
And I think he was okay in the first inning, but I think these guys are showing that we can hurt you. So now I think he's trying to make better pitches, trying to be a little more careful. He fell behind 2-0 and he gave up the home run to Koski. And he's just trying to make perfect pitches early in the count now. Whereas before, I think he was a little more relaxed. He was throwing strikes, and then he started to get him to chase pitches out of the strike zone.
Minkiewicz hit only 10 home runs this year. He had various problems with injury. Hit 15 last year. His first full season in the big leagues. He was an Olympic hero in the Sydney Olympic Games for Team USA under Tommy Lasorda. There's Mark Ellis in shallow right. And the inning is over. But the Minnesota Twins again bounce back. It is 5-3 Oakland. David Justice coming up. Light Ship. Saturn and its retailers hope that you're enjoying the American League Division Series, and we're very pleased to have them with us. Brad Radke. Brad Radke, one of the runs that he's been charged with has been earned. But the fact of the matter is, Oakland has not earned any of its runs. Radke should have a two-inning shutout going here. And maybe not even faced the whole lineup once yet. And yet here's Justice hitting 6th in the order, up for his 2nd time already. We're in the 3rd inning. A pop-up. All right. Steady. Relax. It's okay. Not even that one was routine. There's just nothing going to be routine today.
Well, Gardenhire, that's why he's a good coach. He's laughing with him over there. This is the ending of the previous inning. But look, he's back here again, and I don't understand this. Him being that deep with a runner at 3rd, you can't ever pick the guy off. You can't even put any pressure on him. Well, he's moving in a little bit, so okay. Now he has a better chance of getting in there this time, but he's still getting there late. And Minkiewicz is over there to make the play.
Minkiewicz was not deep that time because he was holding against Chavez at first base. Whereas when Hatteberg was up in the 2nd inning, he was very deep at first.
But again, we saw Radke in the middle of it And I don't know what reason. If you're going to catch it, okay. But if you're not, stand back and call a guy's name.
I mean, he ended up throwing an unintended block on Koski.
Right, that saved him. But if he's standing back, he can see that Minkevich is going to catch it, and he says, Doug, 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 and now everybody stops. I mean, that's what a pitcher can do. If he's not in the play, orchestrate who should catch it and who has the best chance of catching it.
Not catching that pop-up in the second cost him 2 runs. That would have been the 3rd out of the inning with nobody scoring. Mark Ellis, the hitter, 1 ball and 2 strikes to count, facing Radke. But, I mean, Gardenhire could smile a little bit because his team's back in this game.
Yeah, but that's the kind of manager he is, though, John, with these young guys. He doesn't get too upset where, he starts yelling and screaming at them.
Off the fists, but foul off the left field line into the crowd behind the Oakland bullpen.
See, right now he's laughing with them. He's not laughing at them. He's laughing with them because I think some of the other guys have to laugh and say, we're not this bad. We'll play better. And that's the attitude you have to have. We've made the mistakes. That's in the past. We have to move forward from this point on.
1-2 the count. And a changeup low and outside. 2-2. Ellis struck out his first time. This Minnesota club, of the 25 players on their roster for this series, 21 of them are homegrown. They've never played a big league game for any team but the Minnesota Twins, which is remarkable. Oakland has a lot of homegrown talent. Ooh, that was a close one. A changeup, just a little bit low apparently. But Oakland still went out. They got Ray Durham. They got Scott Hatteberg. Last year they traded for Jermaine Dye. This year they've also picked up David Justice. I mean, they went out and made some moves. Minnesota, the only free agent they signed in the offseason was Mike Jackson, the reliever. That one is driven down the left field line. Jock Jones is going to have to go after it now. And Ellis has a double.
Well, I'll tell you one thing you said earlier that is exactly true. This ball is jumping around here. That was a line drive, but I mean, that ball has some real smoke on it. I mean, the ball is traveling very well here today.
That's 4 doubles plus a homer that have been hit in this game, and that doesn't even talk about all the shots that have been caught in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, this ball is ripped down the line, but watch how far it goes. I mean, this is a line drive. This is not a fly ball. I mean, it's a line drive, and it's still short hops the wall. That's why it tells you that the ball is really traveling well here today.
So Ellis at second with 1 out, and Terrence Long comes up. Long flied out deep to right center his first time. 5-3, Oakland ahead, last of the 3rd, 1 out. Radke to the plate. Inside with a fastball. And I think Radke thought he had Ellis struck out a couple pitches before that on that changeup at the knees. It was a pretty good-looking pitch, too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Ellis didn't take it because he thought it was ball 3. He just took it because he couldn't hit it and took his chances. It looked like it was a beautiful pitch. There's no way he could have hit it.
That is a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Terrence Long. Well, apparently the ball was carrying well here on Sunday because the Oakland Raiders scored 52 points here on Sunday, Joe.
Yeah.
Just that time of year was a lot of offense in this field. 1 ball, 1 strike. Terrence Long, Ramon Hernandez, the 9th base hitter on deck. Runner in scoring position. Broken bat. Radke's got to get over there, but he had to elude the bat. So Minkevich takes it himself. Radke got a late break because the bat, with a jagged edge, the broken part of the bat was hurtling right toward him. But Minkevich made the play unassisted. 2 down. Ellis over to 3rd.
Pitch inside on the handle, it shatters the bat. There you see the bat go out past the mound, and Minkevich makes the play. Watch Radke avoids the bat, but actually I think Minkevich should have taken it all the way himself anyway, but good play.
So 2 gone, and Ramon Hernandez comes up. Ramon struck out his first time. Long not only made it out, but he lost his favorite bat there. 5-3, the Athletics are ahead. Minnesota Twins battling their own personal demons here. Their first time in postseason play. They only have 2 players who've ever played in postseason games before. Mike Jackson, the reliever, and Rick Reed, who's had little postseason experience. I mean, very little. With the New York Mets. Popped up. Looking into that brilliant sunshine. Kadire, the right fielder. That didn't look that hard. Now we're going to the 4th inning. Kadire coming up. It's 5-3 Oakland. Field line. Ball on a strike to count, and that slider. A foul, and it is 1-2.
John, I talked about the sinker ball from Hudson. He's gotten 12 outs and only 3 ground ball outs, and one of those was a double play. So he's not getting the ground balls because he's not getting his sinker down as he normally does.
And right past Al Newman. Now, when Ellis was up in the 3rd, Joe, remember, I was convinced it was a strike. That 2-strike pitch, that changeup. Let's see what K-Zone says.
You're still umpiring. Oh, you were right once. You've been right 1 time this year. Now, so you're finally correct. that was a great. I mean, even if it's a little bit off, I mean, how can you take that pitch? But I told you, I mean, he had to feel like he couldn't hit it, so he just took it. I mean,
probably fooled.
Yeah,
on the change of speed.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting my whole life to have stuff like K-Zone at my disposal.
Well, you got that one correct, that's for sure.
Didn't end up costing the Twins anything. I mean, Ellis did hit the double, but he never did score.
Well, here's the check swing. Just watch the barrel of the bat. He had control of that all the way. That should have been in properly. Was called the ball.
And he ends up getting the walk. So Hudson has not found himself yet either. And now if this was Hudson's first game, you'd be talking about, or we'd be talking about the jitters that he was experiencing. I mean, this is not the way we're used to seeing Hudson.
Well, we've seen Hudson pitch, in the games at Yankee Stadium under this type of pressure. And he's handled it much better than he's, handling today as far as throwing strikes and getting the ball down. He pitched a great game in Yankee Stadium. He lost that game, but he pitched a great game his first year against the Yankees. But I think he just has to get the ball down, and right now he's not able to do that. 3 ground balls is just not enough for Tim Hudson.
Hudson got a win against the Yankees last year. Game 2, he beat the Yankees 2-0 with some 9th inning help from Jason Isringhausen, and he really just shut them down in that game.
Last year was his 2nd time. Remember, as a rookie, he didn't pitch. He pitched great, but he didn't get the win. Last year, he did get the win.
Now another bloop by Pierzynski. Now he's looking like Tony Gwynn out there. Now this time Kadire comes tearing around 3rd. Somebody must have talked to him about his base running after that 2nd inning. This time he raced around 2nd, and only when Justice came up with it cleanly did he put the brakes on.
Well, let's see where this pitch is. If he gets it down, but he doesn't, see if the ball is up and you hit a guy on the handle, it's going to be a base hit. He can fight it off. If that same pitch is down, he's not going to do that. He won't be able to fight it off and get a base hit. So the real problem for Hudson so far, as I see it today, is that most of his pitches have been up, and that's the ones that they've hit hard. And even when they do not hit it hard, if it's up, you can flare it in, and that's what's happening to him.
Now Corey Lytle, a right-hander, a starting pitcher in the regular season for the Athletics. They're going to go with just 3 starters in this series, by the way. Lytle, the 4th pitcher in the regular season, now warming up in the bullpen. Hudson has faced 17 hitters, and 9 of them have reached base against him as Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, is out at the mound. Beginning October 19th here on ABC Family, it's 13 nights of creepy movies. The scariest places on earth, dares, and the extreme illusions of Chris Angel Mind Freak. 13 Nights of Halloween begins October 19th on ABC Family.
I have to turn my recorder on for that. You didn't know I like scary movies, huh?
I always thought you were more of a Little House on the Prairie kind of a guy.
No, not really. Now, this will be interesting. Let's see if the Twins do sacrifice, try to get back in this game. See if they do bunt the runners over. It appears that he's going to.
Nobody out. Now Hudson's got to play at 3rd. Nope, he's going to go right to 1st. Didn't even look at third.
Right.
He just picked it up, and Ellis was covering. So Kadire over to third, Pizinski over to second.
And I think that's a good play, in my opinion, by Gardenhire. Don't waste this, because if you get a ground ball and it hits into a double play, the inning is basically over. Now, in this way, you try to get a base hit to tie the ball game, or at worst, get a ground ball to get something to get within one run, get one run closer. So I think that was a great idea by Gardenhire. A lot of teams do not bunt in that situation, but I think it was good in this case.
Now they've changed the bullpen order, with the left-handers coming up here at the top of the order. Jacques Jones, the hitter, and a foul over to the dugout, and it is 0-1. Jones is grounded out and struck out. There's Ted Lilly, a left-hander, now warming up in the Oakland bullpen. You get the switch hitter Guzman on deck, then the lefties Koski and Ortiz behind him.
I think the left-handers in the A's bullpen are going to be very key contributors in this series, because the Twins line up when they do, they're better off against right-handed pitching, and I think that's why you see Art Howell change to Ted Lilly down there.
Now a ground ball to shortstop or second base gets a run home. Oakland's infield is backed up.
I think it'll go home. If you hit it to first base, he's going to be able to score as well. If you're going to go home, even at first base, unless it's a bullet, one hopper to you, if you're behind the bag, you can't come home with that on that play.
Gardenhire told us before the game, he said, hey, Twins baseball is doing little things. We're going to have to do all of those things. We cannot afford not to get runners at third with less than 2 outs home. We've got to get them home. That's the spot he's got right now. Jacques Jones, who was a big hitter for the Twins, 27 homers during the year. He struck him out, and he chased one up out of the zone.
And that was a planned pitch, of course. We saw Hernandez give the target up high. He wanted it up. He got the pitch up, and Jacques Jones chased it. And as you mentioned, Jacques has been swinging at everything. I mean, he has not taken many pitches. Watch the catcher give his target up, throws it up there, and Jacques swings at it. Jacques is swinging at everything that, they throw so far in this ball game. Nice collaboration there by Hernandez and Hudson, of course.
Well, now they need the hit. Jones could have gotten the run home without a hit, but he's going to have to make contact. He has seen 8 pitches from Hudson. He swung at 7 of them and is 0 for 3. Guzman, there's that splitter. So the Twins in an RBI chance here for Jones and now Guzman, and both of them have looked over anxious.
And there are big spots in ball games that come early in the game, and I think this is one of those spots. I mean, if they let Hudson wriggle out of this without scoring any runs, I mean, he could find his rhythm anytime and take him, 3 or 4 innings before they can touch him again. So very important at bat here for Guzman.
Guzman got that infield hit in the first inning when Hudson was late getting to the bag at first, and then he got that slug bunt it actually bounced over Hudson's head in the third inning. 5-3, Oakland ahead, 2 men in scoring position, but the Twins have 2 men down. 0-1 the count. Another splitter, but this time Guzman was not tempted. 1 ball, 1 strike. From Bani in the Dominican Republic, the same hometown as Miguel Tejada. Both were shortstops as kids. They played against each other. Says, who was better in those days? He says, Miguel. He was always better. Better hitter, great fielder. Pop-up. A lot of room in foul ground here. Chavez giving chase. He's got it.
Great play there. He's looking up into the sun all the way. That's an excellent play by Chavez.
So Koski is stranded on deck, and the Twins don't even get one of them home. Huge inning for Tim Hudson. 2 men left. Still 5-3. The top of the order coming up for Oakland. The Athletics 5, the Twins 3 from Oakland. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, bringing you Game 1 of the American League Division Series. Now, between innings, it looked like Tim Hudson and Ramon Hernandez were talking things over, and Hudson was rather emphatic about whatever it was he was saying.
Yeah, he's upset about something. I don't know exactly, what he was upset about, but you'll watch a lot of his teammates come over and try to calm him down. First, it was Terrence Long, Art Howell went over, and then Jermaine Dye went over. They were all seemed to be trying to calm him down. I don't know if he was upset at Hernandez or something that happened at the plate with the umpire, but he was very upset.
Now Ray Durham showing bunt, taking a called strike on the inside. Durham has struck out, and he has hit a double and scored a run. He is 1 for 2 in the game. 5-3, the Athletics are leading the Twins. Oakland got 3 in the first, 2 in the second, did not score in the third. Radke trying to hold the line here as a changeup is swung and missed. 0-2 the count. The Twins just had runners at second and third and 1 out at the top of the order up and could not get either one of those runners home.
Yeah, Jock Jones had to put the ball in play. I mean, that's all he had to do. I mean, that should have been his #1 goal up there, making sure I made contact.
Pop fly into shallow left field. Guzman out, a long run for Jones, and Jones takes it, and he was looking at Guzman until the very end, and ended up catching the ball. 1 away. Back in the second inning, or in the first inning, there was the walk and then the error by Guzman. That helped set up a run. It scored on this play, and Przinsky tried to get that wide throw. Then a pop-up in the second inning that nobody caught. That led to 2 runs. Later still, a throwing error that helped set up a run. And Radke with some frustration. And I don't think he's the only one. I think the whole state of Minnesota was frustrated after those first 2 innings.
But again, I think the last inning was really important because they had a chance to really get within 1 run at least just by putting the ball in play. In a 1-run game, there's a big difference between, being 1 run down and 2 runs because every swing of the bat you can tie the game. And that also plays on a pitcher's mind. But when he has a 2-run lead, he knows that he can make at least 1 mistake and still hold the lead.
A strike, a good sinker on the inside to Hatteberg, who has walked, and he's the one who hit that pop-up that would have been the 3rd out of the second inning that ended up not being caught.
Yeah, good pitch, right tails back on the inside corner.
The catch we just saw by Jacques Jones. And ordinarily, I'm sure they'd like to see Jacques Jones just come in and take charge in that ball, but he never really did.
Well, I think that one, the sun had a little to do with it. Remember, the sun's right up. He's looking into the sun when he comes in on that pitch. I mean, on that ball. I mean, and he may not have been sure right away that he could catch it.
Another pop-up. Guzman out. He's going out, and he makes a nice play.
Nice play. I mean, everyone's getting tested today, but that was a very nice play by Guzman. We saw a great play by Chavez to end the inning, but that was another tough play. And you want your infielders to go out. I mean, you want them to go out until the outfielder calls them off. And here you see Guzman going out. Jock Jones doesn't call him off because he doesn't think he can get there, and Guzman makes a nice play. And there you go. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be made. That's the way you make the play. There's Gardner. I mean,
okay.
I really like him. I'm telling you, he's got the right personality for this ball club.
Gardner saying, okay, that's Twins baseball. Tejada, who earlier had reached on 2 errors, gets a clean single to center this time.
Miguel Tejada, the first hit in the playoffs is always tough for you. So as soon as you get that first one, pitch away on the outside corner, he lines it right back through the middle. That takes a lot of pressure off you, John. You just want to relax, play the game, and if you can get that first hit right away, the rest of the series becomes easy for you.
So Tejada is aboard, and now Eric Chavez. Hard sinker, low and outside. 1 ball to no strikes. Now Chavez has had 2 RBI singles in this game already. He's come up each of the times that Tejada has reached on an error and has proceeded to knock in a run.
Well, he finished the season swinging the bat very well, and it's continued so far here in the first game because, I mean, the last few days of the season, he was really swinging the bat well. And again, I mean, we can't underestimate the contribution that he made to this ball club as well. We've all talked about Tejada for MVP. Well, this guy's been right behind him. He's really hit well, especially second half. He had some rough times in the first half, but he has been very consistent the second half.
That's out of play. Another hard sinker. 1-1 the count.
And, of course, he won a Gold Glove last year. And, I mean, this play here that saved a run at least. And then this one saves, in my opinion, Hudson having to make another tough pitch. And look how far he goes for that. And we're talking about, the Oakland Raiders, that's the end zone that Tim Brown and Jerry Rice goes in to get it. And this is all the foul territory that he had to cover just to get to that ball. And keep his eyes on the ball.
There's more foul territory here than just about any other ballpark that you could think of. Certainly a lot more than at the Metrodome. And back to the screen. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes to Marty Aronoff. Joe says that right where he caught that ball is right where Rich Gannon threw a touchdown pass to Jerry Rice on Sunday.
Okay.
And that was a high hard one there. Back toward our camera in the backstop. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tejada at first base. He runs fairly well, but he doesn't steal very often. Nobody in Oakland steals very often.
He will steal third base more than he does second. As soon as you say that, he takes off.
He's running here, and Torrey Hunter takes that line drive, and the inning is over. Hit real hard by Chavez, but right to Hunter. 1 hit, 1 left. Now to the 5th inning, the big hitters, Koski, Ortiz, and Torrey Hunter coming up. Athletics leading 5-3. 3 in the first, 2 in the second. The Twins 1 in the second, 2 in the third. Koski with a 2-run homer in that 3rd inning. And now Corey Koski leads off. He hit that home run in the 3rd. Now he's up in the 5th against Tim Hudson. And it is ball 1.
And see that pitch up again. Again, he's only had 3 ground ball outs in this ball game. And that's a guy that gets a lot of ground balls. He's going to have to figure a way to get the ball down.
Curveball for a strike. Now, Koski hit one back to the wall in right field his first time. It was caught, and then he hit a home run off the facing of the second deck in the 3rd.
Well, that was just a get-me-over curveball, so that was okay because Koski was looking fastball. But you're going to throw the fastball, you have to get it down.
And 1-2 the count. That one running in under the hands of Koski. From up on what they call Mount Davis out here, the top of the football stands in center field, which are empty except for our mountaineering cameraman. They say you get the best view of the Bay Area from up there, Joe.
Yeah. I'd rather view it from my house than up there.
2-2 the count.
That's pretty high.
Our cameraman's not getting much of a view of the center fielder.
There's the Bay Area and the rest of it. Steve Angel getting the shot. There's Steve.
I hope he's tied in up there. And the strikeout. So Koski is gone. Here in the 5th inning. I mean, Hudson needs a strong inning.
Right, exactly. That's the way he started the ball game. Up, and then he gets the ball down. I mean, he gets 2 strikes, and then he finishes them off with a pitch to down. There's a splitter, and it's going down, and that's the way he was able to do it. But maybe he needs to throw more splitters just to get his eye level down low so he can get the ball down. But you cannot pitch up in the strike zone with fastballs against these Twins hitters, and they've hit a lot of balls hard.
Hudson up against David Ortiz, who has struck out and lined out to right. And the changeup very high. 1 ball to no strikes. Now, the Twins have 3 runs against him. And that doesn't even get into how they had 1st and 3rd, 1 out in the 2nd. And could not get anybody home. A double play hit by Rivas. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out in the 4th inning. And Jones struck out and Guzman fouled out. I mean, the Twins well could have a lot more than the 3 runs they've scored.
Correct. I don't remember seeing Tim Hudson, even when I've seen him, on bad days, throw this many pitches up. I mean, just up.
And back to the screen. Got that one a little more down.
Right, but he's also 2-0. I mean, you can't throw 2-0 fastballs to good fastball hitters like Ortiz. That's what happened when Koski hit the home run. He got 2-0 and he hit a home run. That's a pretty good pitch, as you said. That ball's going down. At least there's some moving down and away from the hitter.
Torrey Hunter on deck. The shortstop there is Tejada. That's a high hop, and that is out number 2.
And that's what he wants. I mean, he's a ground ball pitcher, except when he needs a strikeout, and then he can go for the strikeout. But, I mean, he wants to get some ground balls. Infielders love to play behind Hudson because he does give them some ground balls. Well, see, that ball there is up, but it's moving away. It's sinking a little bit, but it's still away from him. The pitches he's thrown that hit hard have been up and over the middle of the plate, or middle of the plate in.
He has not had an inning where the Twins have failed to get a base runner. Off the fists. This might be it.
Man.
And Tejada nicely done against a fast runner.
Did he make that look easy?
So Tim Hudson with his first 3-up and 3-down inning. Have the Twins let their opportunities go by. Jermaine Dye coming up, 5-3 Oakland. Oakland ahead 5-3 last of the fifth. That is a Terrence Long fan out there wearing that jersey, Joe. It's called the T-Long Pack.
Oh, the T-Long Pack. The whole outfit, huh?
Jermaine Dye takes the ball. I did that to my hair, and look what happened to me. 1 ball to no strikes to Dye is grounded out to third, popped out to first. And Radke gets the low call there with the fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, you got Radke. They're talking about the pitcher and how, how that ball that goes the sinker and where his arm angle is. We've heard Barry Bonds talk about that a lot. But that's what happens. Arm angle tells you what the ball can do.
And Miguel Tejada and Terrence Long, or T-Long, talking it over.
The arm angle can tell you what the pitch is going to be. Radke doesn't throw a curveball straight over the top. His curveball, he drops his arm angle a little bit, but every once in a while he'll throw the fastball from right over the top. So anytime that ball comes straight over the top, you know it's got to be a fastball. And that's what they're talking about, is finding his arm angle and deciding what the pitch is going to be.
Dye with a foul. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. David Justice on deck.
See, John, if you get your arm right here, straight up, I mean, that means you're gonna come here. That means the ball's gonna do this. If you get your arm angle out here, you can cut it and make a curveball out of it. So it's gonna come into the hitter if you're left-handed. Whereas the only way you can sink the ball is to get it out here so that it'll sink away from the guy. So that's what you look for. You look for the arm angle, and it tells you whether the ball's gonna come towards you or move away.
Off the glove of Guzman. Could not come up with it. That ball was just walloped by Dye. Right near the left foot of Guzman. He tried to swipe at it, and he hoped to get lucky, but he didn't.
Well, I think with 2 outs or 7 runners second, I think you have to smother that. But, in this case, when one was in scoring position, he tried to make the play.
It'll be scored as a hit for Dye. So he's at first with Minkiewicz.
Let's take a look and watch this ball is lined, as you said, right at his left leg. He just kind of lays it a little bit. He plays it off to the side a little bit.
Johan Santana, a left-hander, gets up now in the Minnesota bullpen. Justice has singled home a run and popped up. The runners started. Dye started and then stopped, and Pierzynski came up ready to throw. There's Santana in the bullpen.
Well, so far in this ballgame, Radke has jammed Justice twice, and that's where he went with that pitch, tried to jam him again. Justice is a good hitter. He'll look for a ball inside and do something with it. And he's seen Radke. This is his 3rd time, and Radke's pitching the same way each time. See, they're going back inside again.
Just missing inside. 2-0.
There's one thing about a veteran hitter, a guy like David Justice, who can adjust. You can't just pitch him the same way all the time. I mean, if you want to get him out inside, you might go inside, but then every once in a while you just have to go away, show him something different, and then go back inside. But so far in this ball game, every pitch has been inside. Now I think they're going to go away because they are behind. This is a smart pitch.
The call on the outside at the knees. 2-1 the count. Leadoff man in the inning, Dye, reaches on the infield head.
This is a smart pitch. He runs the ball away from him because Justice 2-0. If you throw the ball inside now, he may hit it into the seats because he was looking dead red and going to turn on something. So what do? You go away with it. And now that allows you to go back inside if you want to.
And back to the bag is Dye. 2-1 the count. Now, Oakland got 5 runs in the first 2 innings, and yet this is the first inning in which their leadoff man has reached base. Usually getting that leadoff man on is the way to start a good rally. Justice pops it foul and back out of play.
See, that's good smart pitching. They got 2-0 trying to get him in. Now they got 2-0. They went away, which gave them a strike. Now that sets up the fact they could come back inside again. See, now they're going to go back inside. And if they were throwing that same pitch there 2-0, I guarantee you Justice would have hit it hard someplace because he was looking for that pitch. But after they go away, then that blocks his mind out and he has to start all over again.
We got Justice from the Mets, who had just acquired him from the Yankees in the Robin Ventura trade. I hope that the veteran Justice could help offset the loss of Jason Giambi a little bit. Too far in with that little cut fastball. Full count now, 3-2.
Well, I think if you pitched him inside this long, I think you have to go back in there. Because if you're Art Howe, I think you should put the runner on the move so that they do run the ball away. Justice can hit the hole at shortstop. I think everything is in the A's favor here to go ahead and send Jermaine Dye. But as we know, the A's do not run a lot, but I think this is the perfect situation with Justice hitting.
Dye goes. Justice hits it foul down toward the bullpen where Santana is warming up.
See, I think you do a favor and you help the hitter by sending the guy. And Justice is a guy that can handle the bat, so you give him the opportunity. Now, if this ball's in, so he goes ahead and tries to pull it. Now, if they run the ball away, I think you'll see Justice hit the hole at shortstop. So you're helping him out by giving him two options here what to do. You have a hole at first base now with Jermaine Dye being held on by Minkiewicz, and then when he runs, you open up a hole at shortstop as well. So he has two holes to hit.
3-2. Dye back to the bag. Dye used to be an excellent base stealer. And remember, he was coming back. He had broken a bone in his left leg in the shin against Del Duque in Game 4 of the Division Series last year. And even when he finally got back at the end of April this year, he still had some pain in that leg. He's not running. And Justice again fights one off into the second deck off to the left. In fact, Art Howe before the game today was saying that just the other day in Seattle, as we take a look at that last pitch, Joe.
And Justice sees going the other way. That's why I think it's that you should run him, because it gives him two options to hit either hole. And Justice can handle the bat so well. If they run it away, he'll go the other way.
Art Howe was saying that Dye ran one out the other day in Seattle. He said it's the first time he'd really seen him go where he looked like he was 100% all year long. He's at first. There he goes. And a pop-up along the left field line. Jacques Jones. I said pop-up. It ended up about, 15 feet shy of the warning track down there.
Well, you can see Justice take a shot to left field. He was trying to hit the hole at shortstop because, Guzman was going over the cover with Dye running. Well, watch this pitch. The pitch is, well, he doesn't get it away. I think if that ball would have been away, he would have been able to hit the hole. See, he's inside outing this ball, and he kind of ties himself up there because the ball is in the middle of the plate. It did not move away. But I like the fact that Art Howe did put the runner in motion because it opened up two holes for Justice. And being a veteran hitter, he could take a shot at either one he wanted to.
Now Mark Ellis. He has struck out and he has doubled. Shows bunt, takes called strike.
Art Howe and I, we were teammates, at Houston, and Art Howe loved to hit and run. That's why, I tell people all the time, it's not Art's philosophy not to steal bases or hit and run. He just uses the people that he has, the personnel that he has. He figures that he's better off playing a different style. Because he loved to hit and run, and he would steal a base every once in a while.
Guy over at first, and he's back to the bag. Minkiewicz on the bag with him. 5-3. Oakland ahead in the 5th inning.
And I even asked him before the game today, John, are you going to bunt it all this series? He said, Joe, I'm going to play it by ear. I have a couple of guys that I will bunt with. But, he says we don't bunt a lot, and we don't have a lot of guys who can bunt. So, he's just going to work with the personnel that he has.
Broken back. Koski gets one, and that's all. He did not make a good feed to Rivas at second base.
Nice play by Rivas to try and stay on the bag because that was, a tough play.
And Koski might have been a little distracted by the jagged edge of that back barrel that was wending its way down toward him.
Instead, ball runs in on the inside corner. And Koski kind of ignores it there. Now he comes up. Ball tails inside a little bit. And a good play again by Rivas just to get the one out at second base.
So the Twins defense, the foundation upon which they built their success these last 2 years, but it's defense that we have not yet seen today. Now Now Terrence Long. Ellis, the runner at first. Ellis runs fairly well. Broken bat. Man. Radke had to do a little two-step to elude the bat, and he throws out Long. Man, we got some weird things going on in this one. One hit, one left to the 6th inning now. Minkevich, then Kadire coming up. Downtown Oakland and then San Francisco Bay looking toward Marin County. Oakland 5, the Minnesota Twins 3, top of the 6th inning. More tonight on Fox at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The Anaheim Angels at Yankee Stadium. Jared Washburn and Roger Clemens. And then still later on ABC Family at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. The St. Louis Cardinals and Matt Morris up against the big unit, Randy Johnson in the desert. Tomorrow, the Giants and Braves kick it off at Turner Field at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. The Giants with Russ Ortiz up against Tom Glavine. And the Twins and Athletics game 2 right here, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific from the Coliseum. The Angels and Yankees again, game 2 on Fox tomorrow night as well at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Tim Hudson trying to find himself here after struggling mightily in the first 4 innings. And he throws a called strike to Minkevich, who has flied out to right center and grounded out to second. Change up, foul back to the screen. 0-2 now. In the 5th inning, we started seeing signs of the old Hudson, and maybe again right here as we see downtown Oakland.
Well, John, they want to build a ballpark. I guess one of the places is there. There are a couple of places they're trying to think of finding a place to build a new ballpark for the Oakland A's in the downtown area.
So Lake Merritt.
Yeah, down in there, but not in Lake Merritt area, but in the downtown area.
Minkevich hits a foul. Aerial coverage of today's Division Series game, courtesy of Saturn and the Saturn Light Ship. And we're certainly pleased to have the Saturn Light Ship with us above the Coliseum in Oakland today. There it is. Sometimes we get a blimp, but today, Joe, we have the Light Ship.
Okay.
Live long and prosper.
Nice pitch. That's a good pitch because, you know, I'm not saying it was a strike, but an 0-2 pitch like that sets up a lot of things for Hudson. I mean, that's the pitch we saw him with a lot of movement earlier. And you can see it clearly moves off the plate, but there's a lot of movement on the pitch, and it's down. We saw him throw that pitch in the first inning, but we haven't seen it very often since the first inning.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Minkevich 0 for 2 in the game. Kadire is on deck, and then Pierzynski due up 3rd in the inning. The 6, 7, 8 spots in the Minnesota batting order. That one into right center field. Dye is going back. This ball is gone. A home run. So Minkevich goes deep into right center over the 362 mark. Kind of a porch in both power alleys here. I mean, 362 is a pretty shallow measurement for a power alley, and Minkevich hits it, and now it is a 1-run game, 5-4 Oakland.
A surprising pitch to me there. He threw him a good sinking fastball away. I don't know why he wouldn't throw another one before he tried to come inside. And watch, this is inside pitch. I mean, he throws a fastball in, and Minkevich puts a charge into it.
I mean, kind of went right into his power zone.
Yeah, exactly. There. I mean, you make a great pitch 0-2, and he almost bit. I mean, you might want to go out there again or something. I mean, you're not going to hit the ball out if you stay away from most of these hitters with sinkers. But when you come inside like that, I mean, you're asking for trouble, and that's what he did there.
So the second home run of the day for the Twins. Corey Koski, another lefty, went deep earlier as Ted Lilly, a left-hander, gets up in the Oakland bullpen. In the regular season, Hudson allowed only 19 homers in 238 innings, and 15 of them were hit by left-handed hitters.
Well, I think he thought that, you know, he had him set up with a great 0-2 pitch that Ray tailed away. I guess he thought he had him set up to come inside, but it didn't work. Now, it's no balls and 2 strikes. And watch this pitch. Never going to hit a home run on that pitch. So he comes inside, and he does hit a home run. It looked like, I thought it was a fastball originally, but it looked more like a slider or something. It had some movement on it.
Here's Kadire. Strike the count. Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, has visited with Hudson, and the Athletics bullpen is going again.
Maybe it was that cut fastball that he threw, and there's Koska who had home run as well.
Change up in there for a strike. 0-2 now. Kadire doubled home run back in the second, and he walked in the 4th. Kadire playing in the division playoffs here this summer. He played in the AAA All-Star game.
same pitch that he threw that Minkavich hits for the home run.
The splitter, high hop, Chavez, who's got a great arm. The guy really hustled up the line, but is out, one away.
And remember one thing, a pitcher makes a pitch. The hitter, you have to give Minkavich credit for hitting that ball out of the ballpark. I mean, it wasn't like it was a horrible pitch down the middle of the plate with nothing on it. He'd set him up. It appeared that he had him set up to come inside, but Minkavich, you have to give him credit for adjusting and hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Now, Hudson gets a visit from Ramon Hernandez, the catcher. You've got Pierzynski coming up, who has hit 2 bloop singles to left field tonight, or today.
And they wanted to give Lilly a little more time. I think Art Howe's thinking about making a move right now.
Here comes Art.
Yeah, because I could tell that's why he went out there, to give him a little more time, Lilly a little more time to get loose.
And Hudson did not look pleased. He flipped the ball up into the air the moment he saw Art coming out and signaling to the bullpen. So Lilly comes in. We're only in the 6th inning, 1 out. 5-4, Oakland ahead. And we're going to return to Oakland. Well, they're getting a little nervous in Oakland. The Minnesota Twins, who played 2 of the worst innings maybe ever seen in a postseason Division Series championship. And yet they're only a run down. Tim Hudson is out of the game now. 77 pitches, 5 1/3 innings. 4 runs, 8 hits allowed, and never as sharp as we're used to seeing him. Brad Radke, who shouldn't have given up any runs in his 5 innings, but 5 are on the board against him. Now Ted Lilly comes on.
This is kind of the game plan if you're for the A's, is to bring left-handers in against this right-handed, lineup they set up against right-handers, because you have a lot of left-handed pitchers in it. Left-handed hitters, in their lineup.
And that is a base hit. So Pierzynski is 3 for 3. Lilly, after coming to Oakland from New York, faced 24 left-handed hitters and allowed only 2 hits. And for the year, lefties were hitting 156 again against him, including his time with the Yankees.
I think one of the reasons that, Hudson felt he was okay is because he'd only thrown 77 pitches and he felt like he could go a little longer. But I understand Art's position here. You cannot, in your own mind, let the Twins catch up and make this, a tie ball game. You have to try to keep that lead, and he figures if he can get out of this inning, maybe they can score a few more.
Now Luis Rivas is hit into a double play. Had a sacrifice bunt. 1 ball and no strikes. Pierzynski at first. Now remember, 8 times this year Hudson left games ahead, only to see the bullpen squander that lead. He ended up with 15 wins anyway. And that's a ball outside, but Art House, there's no question in his mind that he pitched well enough to have won 20 games this year. But he'd look none too pleased to leave this game after throwing only 77 pitches. The fastball is too low. So Lilly with a 3-0 count. Now Lilly had some arm trouble, was on the disabled list. They brought him back in the midst of their pennant race with the Angels. He made his first start coming back from the DL against Anaheim, and has not really pitched a whole lot in the second half. That's a strike. 3-1 to Rivas. Another lefty, Jacques Jones, on deck.
Well, this, role kind of fits him because, they were limiting him to like 50-plus pitches in games. So, his arm is not strong enough yet to be a starter and go 9 innings, but this is a perfect kind of situation for him.
Pierzynski back to the bag at first. Hatteberg on the bag with him. Jerry White, the coach over there for the Minnesota Twins. Jerry White coaching at first. Al Newman coaching at third. And so things have not gone according to plan. The left-handed Pierzynski greets Lilly with a single. Now Rivas gets a single. 2 men on and now to the top of the order.
Well, the Twins just won't go away. And that's to their credit. They just keep fighting and they keep getting the counts into their favor, and they're doing something with the pitches when they get them. They get ahead in the count and they do something with it.
So now Jacques Jones, he's 0 for 3. And I'm wondering, Joe, he looked a little over-anxious, swinging at just about everything thrown up there by the right-hander Hudson. Well, facing a lefty, maybe force him to be a little more selective up there.
Well, it should, but maybe not.
Left center hit well, way back there. This ball is off the scoreboard. Coming around third is Pierzynski. He will score the tying run. Rivas stops at third. A double the opposite way by Jacques Jones, and the Minnesota Twins have come all the way back from a 4-run deficit to tie this game.
And you just have to give them all the credit in the world because they've kept fighting and fighting, making mistakes and doing everything he could do to lose a ball game. But here, Jacques Jones, he's not taking anything. He sees something he can hit and he hits it. Justice made a valiant attempt right at the wall, and it hits right above his glove, appears. And watch, he gets back there, he finds the wall, he leaps, and the ball is over his glove, off the wall. Good job by Terrence Long there backing up.
Wow, talking about the best laid plans.
Right.
Lilly, who gave up only 2 hits the whole time he was with Oakland, the left-handers. As you see Corey Lytle getting up now. Has given up 2 hits to his first 2 lefties here in this playoff game. And has not retired anybody. So again, a lead handed over by Hudson to the bullpen. And again, the lead squandered. That happened to Hudson more than to any other pitcher in the major leagues this year. And now the Minnesota Twins suddenly have a great opportunity to actually go ahead in this game. Guzman, a switch hitter coming up. Oakland at the moment has its middle infield back.
Well, I think you have to play back. You can't play in and limit the range of your infielders. If you give up 1 run, you're only 1 run down. But if you back, come in and they blew 1, you're in trouble.
And a curveball for a strike. Guzman is 2 for 3 in the game. He's had a couple of infield hits. They're pulled in tight at third base and first base with Chavez and Hatterberg respectively. Ground ball to short a second, though, puts the Twins ahead. Koski on deck, another lefty. That's too low with a fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now, I mean, this is just a remarkable scenario. I mean, the Twins just blew up in the first 2 innings. They gave away 5 runs to a good ball club. And yet, they have come back to tie this game, threatening to go ahead.
I have to tell you, a lot of it you have to give Gardenhire a lot of credit. The manager never had that dour look on his face. He was smiling. He was keeping the Twins going. I mean, he never looked like he was really mad at anybody or anything. And that's what you have to do with the young players. I mean, I think he's the perfect guy for the Minnesota Twins.
He hangs a curve up and away. 3-1. Well, how about Ted Lilly and some playoff jitters?
Well, I mean, I guess we can't say it's really that much of a jitter, John, because he did throw strikes, but they're hitting them. I mean, he doesn't, this is a situation, I think, first base is open, and he's trying to make a pitch.
And he walks it.
So I think he was trying to make a pitch there.
That's 4 in a row that he's allowed on base here.
Well, but at least now you have a double play situation. And you have a left-handed hitter up. So, I mean, it's not as horrible as it might seem, him walking Guzman in this situation.
So there was no reason for him to give in to Guzman.
No, now he has to make a good pitch on the first pitch. You do not want to fall behind and have to give in to Koski.
Koski hit .253 against lefties. The bases are loaded. The Oakland A's looking for the double play ball to get out of the inning. 5-5. Too far in. 1 ball to no strikes. Now Lilly, a former Yankee, nonetheless is in his first ever postseason game right now. The runners, Rivas, Jones, and Guzman. Rivas at second, Guzman at first are fast. A ball down the line or into the gap could unload the bases here. And that curveball didn't do a whole lot of curving, but it was in the strike zone.
Well, the one problem that the A's have is Guzman at first base is very fast. He's not being held on. He's going to get to second base very quickly. In fact, I mean, your middle infielders, in my opinion, should be a step in closer so that they can make the double play if they get the ground ball. Guzman's going to put a lot of pressure on who's ever the pivot man down there.
That's to Hatterberg. His only play is to first, and he beats Koski there. Rivas is in to score. Jones over to third, Guzman to second, and the Minnesota Twins are now leading this game. 6-5 Minnesota.
Well, Koski hit this ball right down the line. See, Hatterberg makes the play. He got a big hop, which was good for him. He was thinking about second base, but truthfully, his only play was to first base, and he finally retires him. See, Guzman, as I mentioned, he's very fast. Now, how is he's right in the line of fire. If he tries to go to second base, he's either going to hit him or throw it away. So a good, smart play there by Hatterberg. Just take the one out at first.
A smart base running too by Guzman. He kind of ran into the throwing lane there on his way to second. Here's Ortiz, runners at second and third. And that is ball one. Lilly has faced 5 hitters. He finally retired one of them. 3 runs in for Minnesota. They lead 6-5 despite everything. Santana has been throwing all through this inning in the Minnesota bullpen, a left-hander. So perhaps we've seen the last of Radke. Ortiz 0 for 3. Off the fist foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. And, you know, you were talking about Ron Gardenhire and how he kind of kept things loose in the dugout even as they were falling apart.
Right.
How about Brad Radke?
Continuing
just
pitch.
Blocking out the 2 horrible innings and then shutting down the A's the last 3 innings as if none of those horrors had ever happened. That's a foul. Out of play again. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know what I find interesting, John, is the Minnesota Twins are supposed to be vulnerable to left-handed pitching. You know, but that's over the course of a season. As I said before, anything in a short series or any spurts, anything can happen. Left-handed hitters can hit left-handed pitching, even though they may not have done it as well over the course of the season. Hudson had offers against a lot of these guys. They got off the schneid today.
And he took that slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, you know, truth be told, I mean, they did very poorly when left-handed starters faced them. But their actual team batting average against lefties overall is better than the A's average. There's Barry Zito. They'll be seeing him come Saturday. Friday, I beg your pardon, at the Metrodome. Tim Hudson out of the game. Cannot win it. He left ahead.
The only thing I have to defend is that, you know, he had a 5-1 lead, and he didn't hold it either.
No.
So, I mean, it's not like he pitched really great, and he gave it over to the bullpen with a big lead.
I just had a stat, and I was running with it.
Oh, okay.
He struck him out. The Minnesota Twins with 3 runs and 4 hits. So now, let's see if the Twins can start playing as well defensively. 6-5 Twins over the Athletics, last of the 6th inning. Coming up, don't miss the extreme illusions of Chris Angel in an all-new original special, Mind Freak, premiering Sunday, October 20th, part of the 13 Nights of Halloween on ABC Family. Johan Santana on the pitch now for the Twins. Wind blowing a little bit. The ball had been jumping here today at the Coliseum as Ramon Hernandez, the 9th place hitter, leads off. Fastball called the ball. Santana, who was both a starter and a reliever for the Twins, 8-6, 2.99 ERA. He had 137 strikeouts and 108 in the 3rd innings. And it's 1-1 to Hernandez, who is 0 for 2 in the game.
Well, we've seen him pitch, and I mean, he's got live fastball, got a very live arm.
Ray Durham, the leadoff man, is on deck. Oakland is trailing in this game now, incredibly enough. Changeup as Hernandez showed bunt.
Well, I think he was going to bunt because I looked down. Koski was about 5 feet behind the bag. He wasn't even thinking bunt.
Chad Bradford, sidearm slinger, warming up in the Oakland bullpen now. Koski into the edge of the grass at 3rd. 2-1. I mean, Hernandez doesn't look like he's close to catching up to that fastball.
Well, I think that's why he was going to bunt.
And he had a look of abject frustration in his face there after that one. I mean, Santana just poured a couple of fastballs right down the middle here by him. Chopped to second. Rivas. And there is one away. Well, I would think that the Twins should have gotten rid of all of those shaky feelings that they experienced earlier in the game. By this point, the pitching summary, the Reese's pitching summary, the starter Radke gave up 5 runs and 8 hits, only 1 earned run, and really none of them should have scored. I mean, did a great job keeping his club from just completely being destroyed. Tim Hudson could not handle a 5-1 lead and eventually left the game 5-4 after only 77 pitches thrown. And then Ted Lilly came in, gave up 2 more runs. And Ray Durham spread the hands apart on the bat as if to bunt, took it too low. He is 1 for 3, hit a double in the second and scored a run.
Hit a big home run right-handed against the California Angels to tie a ball game.
And Koski can't get it, it's by him. Durham's going to hit for second. Here comes Jacques Jones. Throw cut off. It's a double for Durham.
And that's what the A's did not have before Durham. A leadoff hitter that could make things happen. Get himself in the scoring position, whether it be hit an extra base hit or steal a base. And he brought Koski in, and then when you're in, see how close Koski is? And when you hit the ball that hard, I mean, he doesn't know what to do. So he just tries to smother it there because you do not have time to move as well as you'd like. So the fact that he faked the bunt on the first pitch brought Koski in, and then he hit the ball by him. Good job by Durham there.
Durham, who played in the division series 2 years ago while he was with the White Sox against Seattle, and had 2 hits in that whole series, including a home run. He got 2 hits already in game 1 of this one. Now Olmedo signs, pinch hits for Hatterberg with the left-hander in there. And that's ball 1. Signs, who was hurt right at the end of the season and was not known whether he was going to be able to be in this postseason roster or not, but he was fit, ready to go by Sunday, and so he's in there. Signs, who's a specialist and roughing up left-handed.
Good hitter, too. I mean, he is a good hitter.
It's .317 in the regular season against the lefties. Slider is a little bit low. 2-0.
I think if you're Ray Durham, and they're aware of it as well, you have to try to ignite your team. You're down. Try to get a big jump. It's easy, so much easier to steal third base off of a left-handed pitcher than it is a right-hander. So if he can get out there, left-hander's delivery is a lot slower to the plate than right-handers, first of all, but it's hard for him to pick you off at second base.
And that breaking ball is low. 3-0.
Good job by Santana there. He used kind of a slide step. And when I say good job, maybe not because he threw a ball. Anytime you change your motion, it's very tough to keep your good stuff and throw strikes.
Miguel Tejada, the A's leading RBI man, on deck with Chavez behind him. That's Durham at second. He had 26 steals during the season. Wow. Strike zone is shrinking. Ball 4. So now, Rick Anderson, the pitching coach, is going to be dispatched to the mound by manager Ron Gardenhire to visit with Santana. I mean, again, you've got a young guy in his first postseason game.
And, I mean, and again, I don't think I can overemphasize the point. This is a different game than it was last week. I mean, there is far more at stake, and you have to be able to handle that. And I'm sure all these Twins will handle it. I think this, the first game is always tough. Those first game jitters is for everyone. The A's are nervous as well. But they've been here before, and they've been able to calm themselves normally and know how to handle it. But you have to remember, a lot of these guys have never even thought about being in the playoffs until this year.
Santana is only 23 years old. He's from Venezuela. And now he's going to face the MVP in the American League. We'll see how the balloting turns out, but he seems to be the favorite. And Tejada in one of those MVP kind of situations right here, where he delivered so many times for the A's, especially the last couple of months of the season.
Well, he drove in 131 runs. That's a lot of runs. And he didn't even hit third the first part of the season.
Tejada only 1 for 9 against Santana. And a fastball for a strike. Now the Minnesota bullpen is going to get busy. There's Mike Jackson. He's one of 2 Twins who has had postseason experience. Tejada's reached on 2 different errors. Twins have made 3 errors today. And he's also singled to center. Durham, a very fast runner at second. Possible tying run. There you see what he did in these kind of at-bats with a man at second or third or both. Runners in scoring position, we call it.
93 RBIs.
375 average. Popped up foul. Quickly he's behind in the count now. 0-2 to Santana.
If you look at the A's lineup, the rest of down after Tejada, Art Howe's done a good thing. You can't stack and just bring one guy in to pitch there when it's Tejada goes up on the top of the zone. They have a left-hander, right-hander, left-hander, right-handed, left-handed, right-handed. So you can't just bring one guy in and have him pitch to 2 or 3 hitters the way they have set this lineup up. And that's a perfect kind of a lineup. Ideally, you want to have left, right, left, right, left, right in your lineup, especially for late inning relief purposes. And they're going to bring in a reliever.
You got the lefty on deck right here. 2 men on. And a changeup high and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 6-5. The Twins, amazingly, are leading in this game.
And I mentioned the fact when he got his base hit last time up that took a lot of pressure off him, meaning Tejada. Your first hit in the postseason is always important. It's like the first hit of the regular season. Now I feel like he's in a more relaxed position. He's not pressing to get that first hit here with the runner at second base.
Now time taken. I'm going to head through the pitch, but time had already been granted by the plate umpire, Jerry Davis. No pitch. Well, does that tell Tejada what they were planning to throw him there?
No, because they can always change. I mean, the guy, they know what it was. They said, well, he thinks I'm going to change. I'll go back to the same pitch. Or he says, well, he saw that. I'll change. I mean, there's really no formula for that.
But, I mean, at least he knows what they were thinking.
Yeah, on that particular pitch. The pitchers change every pitch, and their thoughts change every pitch.
Brzezinski drops his time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Durham at second. Signs at first. Pop up. This one's going to reach back near the dugout, and no. There's so much foul territory here, more than any other ballpark, and Minkiewicz, just before he got to the dugout, went into a slide, but the ball dropped.
Well, you know, it was interesting in watching Durham at second base. He went back to tag up. And if Minkiewicz would have caught it and maybe slid into the dugout, you never know. I mean, if he catches this and slides into the dugout, you never know what's going to happen. But Durham went back and tagged up just in case.
Now, if you catch one and then you end up falling into the dugout, do the runners get to automatically move up a base?
You know, that's a good question. I don't think so. If you come out, if you catch the ball on the outside and run in, I don't think they're automatically getting a base.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Tejada. Third in the league in RBIs. Trying to knock in the tying run here. That one hit high and foul off the left field line. He got a slider down and in that time and just lofted it. A soaring, majestic fly ball, but very much foul down the left field line.
Well, they did change the pitch. I should have said that. They changed the pitch after the pitch, when they threw it and the time was called. They went away with a pitch, and then they came back to the same pitch right there. That was a slider down and in that they threw when he called timeout. When he asked for timeout, it was granted by the home plate umpire.
So Brzezinski drops another sign here. Durham at second, signs at first, 1 out. Fastball, that's fouled off to the right. So Tejada continues to fight it out here with Santana.
Good job there by Tejada. I mean, this is a tough pitch, and he fights it off. After they've thrown you down and in, a slider down and in, and then that pitch is running away from you. But good job there by Tejada just to spoil it.
Right at the top of the strike zone. I mean, that's a strikeout type pitch. He has fouled off 3 on 2 strikes. He struck him out.
Looked like a changeup or something.
I was waiting to see if the umpire was going to signal foul or anything like that, but it was a swing and a miss to get him.
Looks like some kind of an off-speed pitch. See, Tejada's way out in front.
So a huge strikeout for Santana to get Tejada. But again, I mean, it's a good matchup for the Twins based on their history. Tejada has not figured out Santana yet. Now 1 for 10 against him this year. Now Chavez. He's driven in 2 runs with singles, and he's lined hard to center. 2 on, 2 out. Tries the curveball, misses very high. 1 ball, no strikes. Chavez 2 for 10 against Santana. 2 men on. Durham, who doubled at second, signs a pinch hitter who walked. He's at first. Both ready to go into anything. Oakland has not scored a run since the second inning. And again, missing badly with the breaking ball. I said, by the way, Tejada versus Santana this year. Santana has had a couple of other years in the big league, so all of those at-bats did not come this year. Santana's only 23, but he's been around a while in the big leagues. Durham at second, signed at first. 2 down. And Willie had him on another breaking ball. He fooled him on a 2-0 count. Had it on the front foot.
Well, but it was up a little bit. I think that's why Chavez went after it. If that would have been a diving breaking ball 2-0, I think he would have taken it. Watch where it ends up. I mean, it's not a tough pitch. So that pitch is up a little bit. It fooled him with the speed, but the pitch was up.
Art Howe seen his team get handed 5 runs in 2 innings, but they have not been able to handle that prosperity. They're trailing now. That was a little better breaking ball. And he saw nothing but breaking balls in this at-bat.
That was a good one. See, that's what you want. Started in the strike zone and let it break out. And Chavez was able to get a piece of it.
All right, another breaking ball here. Do you sneak a fastball by him?
Well, the one thing I've seen Chavez do is take the ball the other way when he gets 2 strikes against left-handed pitchers. I think, they're obviously going to go a breaking ball because he sets up away again.
Right back to Santana. And Minkiewicz gets the put out. So, Oakland with a threat. But he gets Tejada and Chavez in succession, Oakland's 2 biggest sluggers. The Twins are ahead. Torrey Hunter coming up. Twins 6, Athletics 5 from the Coliseum in Oakland. Out of the 7th inning, and Corey Lytle, who was Oakland's 4th starter, comes into the game. In fact, they really haven't even used one of their relievers yet. They've used all 5 of their starters, in effect, from the regular season in this game. Hudson, who started, Lilly, the 5th starter, who came out in relief, and then Lytle, the 4th starter now. Torrey Hunter has hit a double and scored a run. He has walked, and he's grounded out to short. 2-0 the count. The Minnesota Twins lead 6-5. Chavez rushes in, and he gets Hunter with Olmedo Signs accepting the throw, staying into play first base, and there is 1 away. Minkiewicz is coming up. Minkiewicz is wearing a microphone today. Hit a home run in the 6th inning.
Hit in BP in the games about 2 months. I think you're ever getting this microphone back.
Told us at the end, we're not getting that microphone back. The first time we saw the Twins this year, back in August, they faced the Red Sox, and he hit a home run in that game, and also had a single and a double. And now we have him wear the microphone again here, and he's got another home run.
I like the fact that I hadn't hit a home run in batting practice either.
2 months even in batting practice hasn't gone deep. He's 1 for 3 in the game. That home run made it a 1-run game. And you see Signs staying in to play first base after hitting for Hatteberg. Minkiewicz facing Corey Lytle. Lytle, for the 2nd year in a row, had an outstanding second half. In the month of August, he was as good a pitcher as there was in the major leagues. I mean, he went through a scoreless inning streak. It looked like he might not ever give up another run. Last season, he was 11-2 after the break. This year, 6-3 after the break. Change up, down and away. 3-1 the count. To Minkevich. He actually, if anything, pitched better this year after the break than last year. He had a perfect month of August. Science comes in. He's got a couple of ground ball outs here. The first two hitters for the Twins got all tied up and hit just little slow chops.
Well, that's the sinker ball. You got a good sinker. And this is really kind of what we expected a little more of from Tim Hudson, to get a few more ground balls with his great sinker.
Right fielder Michael Kadire.
Lytle in the month of August made 6 starts and gave up 1 earned run. In 6 starts, he had a 0.2 earned run average. 5-0, 45 and a third innings pitched, only 23 hits allowed in the month. Kadire, who has doubled home a run, walked and grounded out quickly in an 0-2 hole here against Lytle. Lytle pitched in the division series against the Yankees last year. He did not last very long against El Duque and the Yankees in Game 4. That was the night after the Jeter game. I'm calling Game 3 last year. That's the Jeter game.
Okay.
The 1-0 game. And then they still had a chance to wrap up the series the next day, but Lytle got knocked out early in that one. His first postseason appearance since then. And Kadire fights it off. Last year, he lasted only 3 1/3 innings. Gave up 6 runs and 5 hits. And 2 of the runs were unearned against him. So now Lytle just trying to keep the A's in this game, give them the chance to come back. And they came back a lot down the stretch.
I mean, the Twins are asking their bullpen to get 9 more outs, which is what they need. And they've got some arms down there to do it, so it's not going to be easy for the A's to score. The A's have not scored since the 2nd inning. You have to remember, Radke shut them down also for the rest of the way.
2 down, nobody out. And a change up, Kadire bounces that one foul. Well, there was one school of thought, Joe, and sort of summing up how to look at this series, which was that, I mean, Oakland had the great starting pitchers, but if the Twins could get them into a couple of so-called bullpen games, that might be where they had the advantage. I mean, that bullpen was pretty strong. 4th in the league in ERA. Guardado was excellent as the closer. Hugging the line was Chavez, the one-hop throw, and it came off the bag.
I was a little surprised at the throw from Chavez, because once he made the catch, I thought he had time to straighten up and fire, because he has a great arm. But it appeared to maybe, let's see what happens here. Well, I don't know what happened. He didn't make one of his usual strong throws. Maybe he was just trying to bounce it there.
He scored as a hit. His foot came off the bag and the ball came out of the glove. So Kadire's a big guy, but he runs pretty well. Now here is Pierzynski, who is 3 for 3. He's had 3 singles to left field, including one that kind of foiled manager Art Howe's move of bringing in the left-handed Lilly to face the left-handers. Pierzynski was the first of those lefties, and he greeted Lilly with a base hit to left. Now the Oakland bullpen gets busy again. A.J. Pierzynski in his first postseason game is 3 for 3. Just inside. 2-0. Left-hander Ricardo Rincon started to warm up in the Oakland bullpen now. Got all those lefties coming up at the top of the order. To Pierzynski, the right-hander Rivas, but then a whole string of lefties and one switch hitter at the top of the order. There's Rivas. He would be next. 2 down. Up the middle, into right center. That's into the alleyway. Now this might get a run home. Kadire around third. He's going to score easily. And Pierzynski gets a triple. He must feel like he's back at the Metrodome. He hit a hard grounder just out of the reach of the second baseman, and it made it all the way through for a triple. The fourth hit for Pierzynski.
Well, that tells you their scouting report and how they sit up there. A ground ball like that should not go all the way to the wall. But the way they were playing him was over a little more off center. So that ground ball was right between the outfielders. And remember that we talked about the outfield is being very fast because they just played a football game here. See where Terrence Long is way over here? That should not happen. I mean, you got to be more straight up there because that ball should never go all the way to the outfield, a ground ball like that.
So the Rivas into left center field. A long run gets there now on the warning track. Wow. An infield hit by Kadire and then a triple on a grounder just past second.
ABC Family's Major League Baseball Division Series. Brought to you by Rolaids. Rolaids spells relief with a taste that can't be beat.
John Miller and Joe Morgan with you from the Oakland Coliseum. Joe Angel, the broadcaster with the San Francisco Giants, who's over in Atlanta getting ready for that series tomorrow. I feel like we just met, Joe. I mean, our relationship has remained so fresh after all these years. We still have to introduce ourselves to each other before every game. Dustin Moore now in right field replacing Kadire for defensive purposes. Jermaine Dye, the hitter. Oakland down by 2 runs now as Santana is back for his second inning of work. Now Santana being used in relief, but remember he also made 14 starts during this season. So the Twins know he could go 2-3 innings here if needs be.
Well, I think that's why Art Howe brought Lilly in instead of a left-hander from the bullpen in the 6th inning, because he felt like he could get 2 or 3 innings out of it.
Right through the middle, base hit for Don.
I think the big thing, John, is that last run that's really hurt the Oakland A's to give them a 2-run lead. 1 run, you always feel like 1 swing, you're back in the game, but 2 runs makes it difficult. And if you look at the defense, they're playing him to pull over here, and they're playing him to go the other way in the outfield. Now, there are hitters who pull the ball on the ground and go the other way, in the air. But I think you have to play more up the middle as a second baseman there to cover that area. You cannot let them hit a ground ball that goes all the way to the wall. That alignment really hurt them in that situation.
And keep in mind that outfield out there, a lot of it just looks like there's grass. I think they painted the dirt green out there. A lot of that grass disappeared under the bleachers that they put in. Football seats that were put out there for Sunday's game. Here's David Justice and a fastball to strike. Now, David Justice is one of the left-handed hitters who has always hit well against left-handed pitching. It's not often an advantage to bring in a lefty to face him. Mike Jackson gets back up in the Minnesota bullpen as we get a view from the Coliseum. You see that the grass that's missing out there in center. That slider is off the outside. 34,853, the paid crowd. That's it. The Oakland bullpen has been touched for 3 runs and 5 hits in 1 2/3 innings today. Curveball, a strike. 1-2 now to Justice. The A's have not hit a home run today. That's another part. I mean, the home run is a major part of their offense. Oakland homered in 123 different games this year. That's more than any other team in either league. At least 1 homer in 123 of their games. That's a little over 3/4 of their games. They hit 205 homers all told. The Twins have been rather frugal in giving out walks. Oakland's only drawn 2 walks today, and they have not hit any home runs. Swing, yeah, the plate umpire, Jerry Davis, made the call himself. Strike 3. Doug Minkiewicz ran a microphone today, and he before the ball game talked to us about this Minnesota bullpen.
They pitch to the situation. I mean, when they know that they can't give up any more runs, they bog down and they don't give up anything. And I think you look at any successful team, and we look at the Yankees over the years, they have successful bullpens, and we consider ourselves the poor man Yankees. So without them, it wouldn't be where we are.
The poor man Yankees. Okay.
Ellis. You know, there are some similarities. I mean, this Twins ball club and the 1987 Twins. I mean, that club only won 87 games. Nobody gave them a chance to beat the Tigers. The Tigers of Jack Morris, Dan Petrie, Sparky Anderson, the manager. But they did, and then they won the World Series from the Cardinals. As Ellis ducks under that one, 1 ball, 1 strike. And I was talking to Kirby Puckett about that before the game today. Kirby's here, along with Kent Herbeck, Tony Oliva, some of the former Twins greats out here with the Twins. And Kirby said, you know, in '87, we were just a bunch of young guys, and we didn't know that we weren't supposed to win. He says, we all needed the money. Changeup. Man, that's a tough pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now Jackson has been joined in that Minnesota bullpen by Romero, the lefty.
You see he gets Ellis way out in front.
J.C. Romero, the left-hander. With Mike Jackson. This Minnesota bullpen might be even a little better than just a poor man's Yankee bullpen. They did a great job.
You know, a lot of times the Oakland A's, you know, you get credit for not having Guardado. He's their closer. For not having a big payroll, the A's get all the credit, but the Twins are one of the small payroll teams as well. And their general manager Terry Ryan has done a great job. Billy Beane, of course, did a great job here with Oakland, and he gets a lot of credit, rightfully so.
Hard slider fouled by Ellis. 2-2. Well, Oakland is number 22 out of the 30 major league teams in payroll. The Twins are number 27. The only 3 teams in Major League Baseball had a lower payroll than the Twins. And of course, Oakland, they built from the ground up. A lot of homegrown talent, excellent homegrown talent. But the Twins did it that way. As Ron Gardner said, he says, hey, there was no other way for us to do it. And Ellis fouls it, stays alive.
Got a piece of that, but man, he had him completely off balance and fooled on that pitch. Watch this swing. Man, he is completely fooled. He gets lucky enough to get a piece of it. Now what you do is hope that he doesn't make the same pitch again. It gives you something that you can handle.
Main die at first, 1 out. Ellis hanging in there, 2-2. He's had 1 hit today, 1 for 3. Foul and back out of play.
Well, he had a much better pitch to hit.
Over at first baseman Kavich, wearing a microphone, was talking to Jermaine Dye about Ellis.
This guy scares me. He's one of those guys as a player you respect, but I don't. You know, it's just a matter of your pitching. You know, they might take a deep breath. This guy can play.
Edmund Kavich commenting on Mark Ellis, who's at the plate. Art Howe likened Ellis to the Giants' David Bell. Just missing inside.
Well, that's the one that he barely got a piece of before. I guess he said, this time I'm not swinging at it. That one just off the plate inside.
All right, with a 2-run deficit, is Dye running?
I don't think so. Not after he had that ugly swing 2 pitches ago. I don't think you send him right here. Can't get this threat with a strikeout and a throw him out.
This will be the 9th pitch of this battle. Just in case, Dye moves back to the bag on the throw by Santana.
If you're down by 1 run, you might think about doing it. But with down 2 runs, I don't think you can do it.
7-5. The Twins are leading. Art Howe has to make those decisions to run or not to run. Dye the runner at first. 3-2 to count. Dye is not running. That's foul down the left field line. And he broke his bat. Did Ellis on that one. Dye off and running at the crack of the bat. Goes back to first. And I mean crack of the bat. It cracked. You see the bullpen, the Twins bullpen, in the person of Santana. So far an inning in the 3rd. No runs allowed. The Oakland bullpen, Lilly and Lytle. 3 runs given up in just an inning and 2/3, picking up for Tim Hudson. 7-5 Minnesota. This will be the 11th pitch to Ellis here. In the air to left field, hit pretty well, but Jacques Jones is back now. Plenty of room, and he makes the catch. Every ball that's gone to the outfield today is just taken off, and Jones quickly broke back in that one, but then just as quickly he pulled up. Turned into an easy play. 2 down. And as easy as you can have on this day with a high, clear sky.
Pretty good pitch down and toward the outside corner.
And we're going to get a pitching change now. The Twins go into the bullpen for another left-hander. J.C. Romero to face Terrence Long, 7-5 Minnesota. Game 1 of the American League Division Series, the Minnesota Twins and the Oakland Athletics. Minnesota has come from a 5-1 deficit to take a 7-5 lead. Terrence Long, the hitter, against reliever J.C. Romero, with a runner at first and 2 down here in the 7th inning. Santana had thrown 40 pitches in his 1 2/3 innings. Now Romero gets the call. 81 games this year. Look at those numbers. 81 innings, only 62 hits allowed, a 1.89 ERA. Great job by Santana. This guy throws pretty hard, also with a good changeup.
But he can be a little more difficult for a left-hander to handle. He's got a little more herky-jerky type delivery than Santana has. Santana just overpowered, but Romero has that, makes it more difficult for a left-hander to pick up his release point.
Against Romero, whether they be lefty or righty, they all had a tough time hitting it.
Well, I can see where the left-handers would, have a far more difficult time just picking up the ball. Whether you hit it or not is a different story, but just picking up the ball, he gives you a little bit of arm, leg, and shoulder before he brings the ball around and releases it.
Ramon Hernandez on deck. In the last of the 7th, 2 down. Broken bat. That's the 3rd time in a row that Long has broken his bat, with most of the bat heading right out toward the pitcher. Long is 0 for 4. And he's going to have to go find another bat. We go to the 8th, top of the order. Jones, Guzman, and Koski coming up.
Now is the time.
Tick.
Now's the time.
Tick.
That's tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern from the Coliseum, Mulder and Mays. Now, coming up later tonight, the Yankees, about an hour from now, hosting the Angels. Jared Washburn up against Roger Clemens at Yankee Stadium. Still later here on ABC Family. The Cardinals and Matt Morris up against Randy Johnson and the world champion Diamondbacks. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 Pacific. The Giants kick it off against the Braves. Ortiz against Glavine at Turner Field. There is Ricardo Rincon on to pitch for Oakland. He's their 4th pitcher of the game. It's the 8th inning. Also, tomorrow, the Twins and Athletics again, 4 Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Central Time. And the Yankees and Angels again tomorrow on Fox. Tonight on Fox, tomorrow on Fox. From Yankee Stadium. 1 ball, 1 strike. Joe Mays tomorrow. This is Joe. He did not have a very good year. He had a lot of injury problems. Long time on the disabled list. Pitched a lot of games where he wasn't at 100%. But Ron Gardenhire just feels he's got great stuff. And that will be signs to the bag for the unassisted put out. And Jacques Jones is retired. Jones, who got a big hit back in the 6th inning to knock in the tying run of this game. Has only hit of the day, but it was a big one.
It was a big one. I mean, they brought the left-hander in to try to get the left-handers out. And Jones free swinging. He hasn't taken very many pitches today and swung at the first 2 pitches here, but he hit it off the left field wall.
Ricardo Rincon from Veracruz, Mexico, was acquired at the trading deadline from the Cleveland Indians. And there's some Terrence Long bats coming in from the clubhouse, or maybe from the bat company. He'd broken 3 bats in his last 3 trips to the plate.
Well, there's 3 bats, 3 replacements for someone.
So maybe T. Long is confident that they'll at least go extra innings, so he may need 3 new. He might get 3 more trips to the plate. Of course, if that's the case, he's not confident that he's going to get a good piece of wood on one. I mean, his bats have exploded 3 straight times. The bat ended up flying out toward the pitcher all 3 times. Ball on a strike to Christian Guzman, who's had 2 hits and a walk in this game. Pops it up. Ellis in the shallow right. And that is number 2. Radke will come up. Well, the A's have those 2 great lefties, Mulder, who goes tomorrow, and Zito on Friday. Before the game, Doug Mientkiewicz was talking about those 2 tough pitchers.
Zito will scare you. He'll make it. Mulder. You need to check your shorts.
Let's start.
We're hoping both those guys get food poisoning in the next 2 days. They don't want to kill them. We just want to make them sick for a couple days.
Dinner tonight. Who's tougher on us?
And a foul down the right field line by Koski, who has a home run and 3 RBIs in this game. Yeah, the Twins had a losing record in games started against them by lefties this year. And that's against all lefties, not just 2 of the best lefties in the game that they're going to be facing.
Well, as I said to you before the game, I really believe that this was the best chance the Twins had right away to try to steal one, because they could put their best lineup out there, all left-handed hitters.
Long battling the sun out there, having a terrible time of it, and he makes the catch, dropping to the ground. Koski retired. Terrence Long may have just caught a ball that he hardly ever saw. So the Twins go down in order. Now Hernandez followed by the top of the order. Durham and Saenz. Tejada do up 4th. And the Athletics are down by 2. The underdog, the Minnesota Twins, are leading 7-5. They were trailing 5-1. We're in the last of the 8th as J.C. Romero. This is outside with ball 1 to Ramon Hernandez. Hernandez is struck out, flying to shallow right, and grounded out to second. 0 for 3. He'll be followed by the leadoff man, Ray Durham, who's had a couple of doubles today, and then Olmedo Saenz due up 3rd. Center field, and now Hunter battles the sun. Look out! Wow, man! So we've just seen 2 catches on ordinarily routine balls that really were great catches. One by Long, now one by Hunter.
Well, I think Hunter, this one's tougher because it's straight at you. Normally you try to get off to the side, and you can see he really didn't catch that ball. It wasn't his glove. I mean, he put his glove where he thought it was going to be. He didn't have it extended out to catch the ball. Yeah, but I think you have to try to move off to the side. That ball was directly at Hunter.
Amen. He felt like he had help from a higher power on that one. Not Durham. He's had 2 doubles. But, I mean, they're down by 2. They need Durham to get something going here. Minnesota bullpen is quiet. The Oakland bullpen is busy. Jim Nasir, a right-hander, warming up. Off the outside. 2-0. For the Twins. They almost never use him unless it's a ninth inning. At 45 saves this year. That's called a strike. And Durham begs to differ. With Jerry Davis, they talk it over. 2-1 the count. Art Howard not too happy with that call either.
Well, it made it look a little worse because the catcher did not catch it.
This big call. I mean, the difference between being 3-0
big difference.
2-1.
Big difference.
Now it is 3-1. Shadows of October, the first day of October, in fact, advancing upon home plate. Of course, that sun is lying low over that upper tier of the ballpark, right in the eyes of the center fielder. Romero throws out Durham.
Good job by Romero to continue to throw strikes. Good job by Durham to make him have to throw strikes.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. What have you decided? What is the most memorable moment in Major League Baseball history? Well,
did you vote?
We'll have all the final balloting come in on Game 4 of the World Series. Yeah, I voted. Are you kidding? I was on the committee to help
pare it down
to the, what do they have, 20 or 25?
25.
I was asked to vote on that.
Are you bragging or complaining?
And I tell you what, I mean, I'm a busy man, but I made time for that.
Just so you won't feel like a Lone Ranger, I was on that committee as well.
Well, and I know you're very busy, but both of us found time in our busy schedule.
I won't ask you to tell them what your number one moment was.
Well, made those signs. Count 2-1 to him. He came out as a pinch hitter in the 6th inning.
And this is why that run the Twins scored in the 7th inning was so important. Because, you know, every swing of the bat could tie the ball game. And as I said, Durham tied the ball game last week against Anaheim when he got 2-0 and hit a ball over the center field fence. This time he had to take 2-0 because he needs to get on base. He's not the tying run.
And that's Oakland's game. I mean, they take pitches.
Right.
But they have only drawn 2 walks today.
And you have to give the Twins credit, but this is the way the Yankees defeated the A's in the past. They would throw strikes. You see the catcher pull that ball down, and I think that hurt him in the umpire's eyes because he pulled the ball down, and he didn't need to.
K-Zone said that was right at the border of the strike zone. And up. At the knees. 3-2. 30. Go ahead, Joe.
You see, the A's are trying to get on base. They've taken 2 strikes now twice, both, you know, Durham, and also now you have Signs taking 2 strikes. And they're trying to get on base. Tejada, of course, is next, so they're trying to just get the tying run to the plate.
And Tejada is a guy that'd love to get to the plate here with a man out. But a little dribbler. They're going to let it roll. It is foul. It just rolled foul. And immediately Romero swiped at it. Meanwhile, Tejada is in, or rather, Signs is on the ground near first. I was watching the ball. I have no idea what happened to Signs.
I think we're all watching the ball, and they're trying to stretch his right leg, looks like.
Gary Davis, the trainer, out. Oh, yeah. Probably in the same spot as us, having watched that ball, and then all of a sudden you look over at first and there's Signs on the ground.
Because it appeared the ball was going to stay fair. It rolled back, and then at the last second it rolled off the line. Well, there's no way he's going to be able to stay in the game. Now someone's going to have to hit with a 3-ball, 2-strike count.
I don't know if he hurt his hamstring or what the problem was.
Well, it appeared that they were grabbing more down around his calf and his ankle than they were his hamstring. Larry Davis, the trainer, anyway, was checking him there.
So Randy Velarde has come out of the dugout. He's going to take up on this at-bat for Signs. Signs, who had problems with the middle finger on his right hand. He sprained that middle finger, and he was doubtful to be on this 25-man roster until the very last minute. So he's going to be helped back up to the clubhouse. Now, let's take a look, Joe.
Well, it's his right leg,
right there.
Well, he had the presence of mind to go hit the bag first.
The lower part of his right leg.
Well, sometimes that would be indicative of straining a muscle or pulling a muscle, hamstring, calf, whatever. But you hope that maybe it was a cramp. Randy Velarde inherits a 3-ball, 2-strike count.
It's a tough situation. Come off the bench and just walk up there with 2 strikes on you.
I mean, no chance to see what he's featuring, no chance to see what kind of movement he's got. Just go up there and start hacking. If he would strike out, that strikeout would be charged to the record of Olmedo signs.
But if he grounds out, it goes on his record.
And he singles.
And that goes on his record.
A bit of serendipity for the Athletics.
Well, they get the guy they want up there, Tejada and Chavez next. I mean, this is what you look for if you're down 2 runs going to the late innings. All you really want to do is get the tying run to the plate. Right back through the middle. Romero throws a strike and he grounds it right back up the middle. Base hit for Velarde.
Now Rick Anderson going to go out and talk to Romero. And they're staying with their left-hander. They've never at any moment had anybody else warming up in their bullpen.
Right. Exactly how they want to pitch to Miguel Tejada. They want to stay away from certain zones and certain pitches and certain counts. And you just go over the scouting report. They've had someone following the A's for a long period of time, and they write up a scouting report and tell you exactly what to do in these types of situations. And what happens is a pitching coach who has all the notes over there, he just goes out to remind Romero.
Back during that winning streak, Miguel Tejada, in the 18th game of the streak, hit a dramatic home run in the 9th inning against Eddie Guardado. That ended the game. They were down 5-4, and that 3-run homer won the game.
Well, all of a sudden, that delay has caused the shadows to creep over home plate. It is tougher to hit now than it was 3 minutes ago, because he's throwing right from the light to the shadows.
And a strike called to Tejada.
See, the background and the pitcher and everything else is in the sunlight, but 2 feet in front of the plate, the shadows start. And that makes it more difficult to hit the ball.
The crowd here, everybody on their feet, waving their rally towels.
Ooh, good slide piece right there.
0-2 to Tejada. He's only faced Romero 3 times. He's 1 for 3 against him.
Now watch, the ball's bright. Now all of a sudden when it gets into the shadows, you know, it just becomes a dark spear instead of you've been able to see it as you could see it when it was out in the sunlight. And this just happened in the last 3 minutes. And it'll get worse as the afternoon wears on.
2 strikes. Changeup off the outside. Oakland had 3 in the first, 2 in the second, and they have not scored since. Now, we're in the last of the 8th, and they got their most feared hitter who's had his best year at the plate. Perhaps the American League's MVP, and another feared slugger on deck, Chavez. And back out of play.
Well, Miguel Tejada hit a 2-out top of the 9th home run in Seattle the other day to tie the ball game. They were down there
against Sasaki, the Mariner closer.
And a good pitch there by Romero, just out of the zone, moving down, and Tejada does a good job of fighting it off.
7-5, Minnesota. 2 down, Velarde at first. And he fights that one off. 1-2. He came back with a 94-mile-an-hour heater up a little bit.
Good spot, too. Fastball away. I mean, he's not going to be able to drive it out of the ballpark, even if he catches it. And moving away from him, maybe he could just, you know, get him to swing through it. See the targets out there. And that pitch, you're not going to do a lot with that pitch right there, other than foul it off.
Trying to keep him in the ballpark here and put him away. 2 down. Changed up on him, and again Tejada got a piece of it.
That was good hitting right there because he was definitely fooled on it. What he did, he didn't roll his wrist over. All he did, to watch, he kind of stiff arms this. You don't see his wrist roll. See that? See how he keeps his hands there? All he's trying to do is foul it and get another pitch.
Oakland down by 2 in the 8th inning. Time taken, a ball got loose from the Oakland bullpen and onto the warning track in left field where Jacques Jones tracks it down. Ron Gardenhire, the Minnesota manager, seen his team come from huge odds in this game, from a 5-1 deficit against Tim Hudson.
In my opinion, he had a lot to do with the way he kept his composure on the bench with everything going poorly around him. I think he really had an influence on these young players.
Change up. 2-2. There is Velarde. Put it a run at the crack of the bat with 2 down. Tejada. Strike 3 called. A slider on the inside. And the inning is over. The Twins bullpen has pitched 3 scoreless innings in relief of Radke. 1 man left on. So now to the 9th inning. Ortiz, Torrey Hunter, and then Minkiewicz coming up. The Twins are still leading 7-5.
Now is the time.
Now is the time.
Now is the time for the Minnesota Twins, perhaps, to go ahead in this series. They're leading 7-5 after A. Coming up, SportsCenter over on ESPN. In fact, just getting started, A's Twins postgame. And the Mets, of course, fired Bobby Valentine today. And how the Braves will pitch to Barry Bonds tomorrow in Game 1 at Turner Field. Here's Jim Messier. You see his numbers for the year. The 5th Oakland pitcher of the day facing David Ortiz, who's standing in the shadows while Messier's out there in the bright sunshine. Ortiz is 0 for 4 in this game.
And really, I mean, you see how dark it is around the home plate area. Watch. See how the ball disappears? You can see it. It's bright out there in front. But once it gets the last 15 feet, it becomes, you know, just a dark shadow, a dark circle coming towards you.
And he changed up on it. A foul. 2-2. Torrey Hunter is on deck. Minnesota Twins did everything wrong the first couple of innings. I mean, everything. Gave Oakland 5 runs and failed miserably a couple of times in its own situational hitting, where they had chances to get runs and didn't do it, and still managed to come back and go ahead. There's Velarde now playing first base for the Athletics.
Well, to their, you know, one good thing happened for them. They caught Tim Hudson on an off day, so to speak, because everything he threw was up. He wasn't getting a lot of ground balls. If, you know, by my count, he only had like 4 ground balls in his entire stint before he got to the 6th inning.
2-2 the count on the hands, and he fouls it down to the bullpen where Eddie Guardado has started to warm up. The closer for the Twins is Eddie Guardado. Became the closer this year. And a good one. 45 saves. He's from this area. Strike 3. Ortiz goes down on the off-speed pitch. 1 down. Torrey Hunter coming up.
Change up. You can see way out in front. But it's very difficult to pick up the speed of the ball when it's coming towards you and you're not able to really see it that well.
Now Torrey Hunter, in a way, Torrey sort of gave the Twins their first little feeling of life.
I think he got a real important hit, John.
He hit a double in the 2nd inning after after they'd fallen behind 3-0. I mean, just collapsed in the first inning. And he led off immediately in the second with a double to right center.
But I think even more importantly, John, it's here's a guy that had not hit Hudson well. All of a sudden he gets a hit. And the other guys who had not hit him well, they get hits. I think, he kind of set the tone for the Twins to score some runs. They were just not going to be shut down by the A's pitching staff today. I think they proved that fact, when he was very aggressive in that at bat against Hudson.
Messier, that's right past Messier. There's Ellis, and in the dirt, but pulled out by Velarde for the out. Very nice on both ends.
Toughest plays, for a second baseman is to be running away from first base and having to throw all the way back. And a lot of times you'll see a ball not reach it all the way. You'll see it short hopped or something. See, Ellis throws off balance a little bit. It sinks, and a good job by Velarde to come up with it. Nice play. We've seen a lot of middle infielders now slide into these balls, so it stops their momentum, and then they straighten up and they can make a good throw. But a nice play there at first.
Doug Mankiewicz, with his flied out, grounded out, and then in the sixth inning, he started a 3-run rally with a home run to right center, and is now 1 for 4 in the game. That made it a 1-run game. They were down 5-4 after his home run in the sixth, and it also was sort of the beginning of the end for Tim Hudson. After he got the next hitter out, he was taken out of the game after that home run.
I think that was a downfall for Hudson, because he had pitched well the inning before. He seemed to be, getting his stuff together, and he pitched well against him until he tried to throw something inside. I don't know if it was a cut fastball or a slider, or whatever it was inside, and he hit it out of the ballpark after pitching away most of the at bat.
Tomorrow for the Athletics.
And there'll be a little pressure if the A's aren't able to come back in the bottom of the ninth.
That's out of play.
Because I don't care how good you are, you don't want to fall behind 2 games going to the other team's home park.
We partnered with the Saturn Lightship today to bring you aerial coverage of this game. And we hope you're enjoying the beautiful views from high above here in the Bay Area from the Saturn Lightship. Struck him out. So now, Eddie Guardado, who grew up an A's fan. He's from nearby Stockton. The A's will have some sluggers up there. Chavez, Dye, and David Justice. Big sluggers. And they need 2 to stay alive in game 1 of this series. 7-5, Minnesota. Game 1 of the American League Division Series. The Minnesota Twins leading the Oakland Athletics 7-5. And it's the last of the 9th inning now. Don't miss the extreme illusions of Chris Angel in an all-new original special, Mind Freak, premiering Sunday, October 20th, part of the 13 Nights of Halloween on ABC Family. Eddie Guardado on the pitch now for the Minnesota Twins, talking with A.J. Brzezinski, his catcher. Guardado from Stockton. And he said as a kid, he saw games both here in Oakland and over at Candlestick Park, but really was more of an A's fan as a young kid because of Dave Kingman. He was impressed with the power of Kingman, how far he could hit the ball. And then later, they had the Bash brothers, McGuire and Canseco together. So it's kind of ironic. What he loved to see were guys hitting home runs. And now he's in the big leagues trying to keep guys from hitting home runs.
Well, the interesting thing there, Brzezinski went out and talked to him, and I think he was telling him about how difficult it is to see there and trying to tell him why he wants to call certain pitches.
Chavez, the hitter. And he starts him with a curveball. It is 0-1. Chavez has had 2 RBI singles. He's also lined to center and hit a comebacker. He's had some success against Guardado. Guardado 45 saves. 6 blown saves. That just missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. But 2 of his 6 blown saves were right here at the Oakland Coliseum. Look at this. Look at those numbers against Oakland. Tejada hit that home run against him here. Labor Day weekend on a Sunday. Jacques Jones. That's a big out. Chavez retired. 1 away.
Well, he kept everything away from him. And Chavez looked like he had moved off the plate a little bit.
how far he has to go to cover this ball? See how he's reaching for it? I mean, I don't remember him being that far off earlier in the ball game.
Well, now, because he kept Chavez off, Dye cannot tie this ball game.
And that's why, again, that run they got in the 7th inning was just so huge.
Just missing on the inside. Radke went the first 5. He survived the nightmare of the first 2 innings. 3 errors behind him, and really 4 errors that gave away every run that Oakland scored. But they have not scored since, and it was Radke, the ultimate professional, who seemed to just take it all off his mind and set about the business of keeping the Twins in the game, which he did. 3 shutout innings after those miserable failures of the Twins in the first 2 innings.
Well, the Twins asked their bullpen to give them 12 outs. And so far, they give them 10. They just need 2 more to solidify this. It's kind of interesting. I mean, you're talking about the bullpen. The Twins have an excellent bullpen. And we've always said the A's had the best starters, which they do. But, you know, bullpen matchups are just as important in the postseason. And we talked about all you wanted to do is stay close if you were the Twins, and you have a chance in the late innings. And they were able to stay close, and they took advantage of everything in the 6th and 7th inning.
They lead 7-5. 1 out last of the night. Jermaine Dye 2 for 4 in this game. And change that almost like a screwball. 2-2 the count. Guardado gave up a game-losing home run to Olmedo Saenz of Oakland back on July the 2nd. And then that home run to Tejada September the 1st, 1 month ago today. And just chopped foul, 2-2 the count to Dye. But you know, when he talks about it, he's very clinical about it. Like very direct about, well, I made this pitch and I made a mistake up, got too much of the plate, and he hit it. Not that he was angry about it or upset with himself. He knows what the problem is. He's moved on. Doesn't affect him any longer. He seems to have the perfect temperament for a closer.
Well, what was that great quote Raleigh Fingers gave? He said, sometimes you tame the tiger, other times you get eaten by the tiger. But in any case, you have to start all over the next day.
Struck him out. The changeup off the outside. 2 down. And the Twins are 1 out away from a remarkable turnaround in this first game.
And that does have a screwball action there, John. That was a changeup moving away, but it started towards the outside corner and just kept moving off the plate. And Dye couldn't hold up. Well, you know, this is kind of an awakening for the Oakland A's. I mean, you have to remember one thing. The last couple of years, they have been the underdogs to the New York Yankees. Now they are the favorite. That's a different role than they've had, you know, the last couple of years. And they'll have to, we'll just see if they're not able to come back here, how they approach everything tomorrow.
And a huge favorite in this series.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, there's a little different being the hunted than being the hunter.
David Justice, Oakland's final hope. And a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2. They're down to 1 last strike of life. Mark Ellis would be next. The Minnesota Twins down 5-1 after 2. I mean, they just blew up. Yeah. And yet they came back with 2 in the 3rd on the Koski homer, and then 3 in the 6th to go ahead. They added 1 more in the 7th. Oakland has not scored since they were given those 5 runs. That's a base hit, and Justice keeps the A's alive. Comes out.
Well, good job by Justice. He doesn't try to pull it, although that's one of the worst pitches Guardado made. That was a high breaking ball and hanging up over the plate. Justice does a good job of shooting it back through the middle.
It was an 0-2 pitch. The A's have had a hit in every inning of this game. But they have not scored a run since the 2nd inning. You see there Guardado unhappy with himself for making a bad pitch. So the Athletics are still breathing. Ellis the hitter. Ooh. Call the ball.
Well, the one thing Ellis can do is he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and especially today because we had mentioned the ball is carrying well, but he does have home run power.
And 1 hit today, hard stuff. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, I think he finally realizes how difficult it is to see up there. And a 90-mile-an-hour fastball looks like a 96-mile-an-hour fastball when it comes out of the bright light to the shadows.
Radke started. Santana 1 2/3 scoreless innings. Romero 1 1/3. Now Guardado trying to wrap it up. And that's strike 2 on a foul ball. So again, Oakland is down to its final strike. Adam Pyatt has come out on deck.
I'd have to say, if you're Ellis, this is a tough pitch coming up because he's thrown you 3 straight fastballs. You haven't even seen the changeup yet.
Well, I would say most of the Twins would have gotten the butterflies of the postseason out of their system by now.
Well, if you win the ball game, they definitely go away. Nice job by Ellis to lay off the changeup.
2-2. We got bad news from the Oakland clubhouse. They announced in the press box that the report on Olmedo signs is that he suffered a ruptured right Achilles tendon. So he would be out for the rest of the postseason. That's for sure. Another changeup in the dirt. And again, Ellis lays off this patient Oakland approach. I mean, hitter after hitter.
Well, good job by Ellis to take that 1 ball, 2 strike pitch because that was the one he wanted to finish him off with. After throwing him 3 straight fastballs, he wanted to get him to chase that changeup. Ellis did a great job of taking that pitch.
All season long, especially the final couple of months, they saw so many near miracles in the late innings here in Oakland. And the faithful have not given up hope just yet. 3-2 the count. Justice the runner at first. There he goes. Ball 4. And now the possible tying runs are on base. And a pinch hit is going to come up.
Well, the one thing we do know is that anything hit in the gap will usually go to the wall simply because this outfield is so fast today because they played a football game here on Sunday.
Rick Anderson, the pitching coach, out to talk to Guardado. A couple of old pros, David Justice, well, one old pro, and a guy who plays like an old pro, Mark Ellis, although he's a rookie. Well, it kept the A's going here.
I think anything that's hit into the outfield is not hit directly. And one of the outfielders, I think the A's have a chance to, to score the runner from first base.
And remember, especially for the center fielder, Torrey Hunter, it is extremely hard to see the ball right now, and probably for the right fielder, Dustin Moore as well.
Correct.
That's what they're looking into. That's what Torrey Hunter's looking into. So Adam Pyatt is the pinch hitter for Terrence Law. Pyatt hit .234 in the regular season, 1 for 1 against Guardado. Starts him with a fastball for a strike.
Good smart pitch there by Guardado. I mean, a guy coming off the bench, he hasn't seen a pitch. The shadows are there. You want to jump ahead of him, then you can try to trick him or do some other things with him.
2 on, 2 out. 7-5 Twins. And the slider is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Guardado, although he's been around for a long time, 32 years old tomorrow is his birthday. And this is his first postseason action as well. He's been through a lot of losing seasons in Minnesota, along with Brad Radke. They're sort of like the 2 old hands who've been around a long time with the Twins. And he's trying to get his first postseason save.
Well, the good thing, the Twins, they're all playing pretty deep so that they could try to cut off anything that's hit in the gap.
2-1. Hernandez on deck for this crowd trying to come to the aid of the Athletics. There's Hernandez. So Guardado, who got the first 2 hitters quickly and then got 2 quick strikes on David Justice. But he made that bad pitch to Justice, who hit it for a single, and things have gone against him ever since. Now a big pitch to Adam Pyatt. 2-1 the count. Pyatt has got some power. able to go. So really almost any extra base hit, surely the tying run would score.
And a good pitch there by Guardado right on the outside corner. I think Pyatt was going to hit, but that ball was right on the outside corner. Beautiful pitch from Guardado.
But Pyatt did well not to swing at that one.
Tough pitch. But he was looking for something that he could drive, I'm sure. 3-1. You're looking for a fastball middle in. And that was over the outside corner.
Now he's got to swing at anything close. The runner's ready to take off. 3-2. There they go. Left field. Jacques Jones in his hip pocket, and the Minnesota Twins have won it. The Athletics give them a start here in the ninth inning. But Guardado and the Twins silence the crowd and silence the skeptics, at least for one day. It is the Twins, the heavy underdogs, who are in the lead in this American League Division Series. Remarkably, because everything that they could have done wrong, they did wrong in the first 2-3 innings, and even some things that it was impossible to get wrong. Pop-ups back to the mound that they didn't catch, and yet they still came back. They retained their composure, and they overcame their own demons of being in the postseason for the first time, and they won this game.
Well, they could not. The A's couldn't put them away. The A's got a 5-run lead, but the next half inning, the Twins were able to come back to a 5-3 ball game. They were never out of the ball game. They got behind 3-0. They scored one. It's 3-1. The A's want to hit 5-2. They came back with 2 more. It's 5-3, and then all of it's 5-1, and then the 5-3, and all of a sudden it's just, you know, they were never out of the ball game. Even though they were playing poorly, they were never out because the A's couldn't put them away. And Hudson could not shut them down because he could not control his pitches today. He just kept getting the ball up, and that was his downfall.
And maybe a little message for the Twins there in that ninth inning, though. 2 outs, 2 strikes, nobody on base. And all of a sudden, there's Guardado pitching for the Twins' life in this game, as if to say, hey, maybe you're going to come back and win this one, but this series is a long way from being over yet.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, the A's have seen this before. They went into Yankee Stadium and swept the Yankees 2 games there, and then, you know, the Yankees bounced back. I mean, this is a 5-game series, not a 1-game series, and the A's are still, you know, probably the favorite as far as everyone is concerned because they still do have Zito, Mulder to go to, and you can figure that Hudson's going to pitch better. But the Twins are saying, look, we have Rick Reed, we have Radke. I mean, we still have some of our best pitchers to go to. So I think it's going to be a great series, and I said that at the beginning, and I still believe it, even more so now.
A.J. Pierzynski had quite a game, 4 for 4, including a triple. He is standing by with our Gary Miller. Gary?
All right, thanks a lot. AJ, take us through this game when it starts out. I think almost everybody in the Twins had a misplay, including yourself there.
A couple of them, I think. So it was just wild. I mean, we didn't play very well the first 2 innings, and then we kind of settled down. Brad settled down, and we came back and played the way we've been playing the whole year. We never quit. We fall behind. Doesn't matter how many runs, and we just do it. We find a way to do it, and we got Lilly, we got Hudson, and you know, it was guys that they said we couldn't hit. So we played well, and it was a nice win. It was very nice.
You had a pregame talk from Gladden and Puckett, who had been here before. How much did that loosen you guys up?
Oh, well, Puck is crazy anyways. Anyone that's been around Puck knows, and he just said, you know, let's go out and play like you can and don't try to do too much. And Gladden pretty much said, you know, we've won some rings, and people didn't give us a chance, and we did it, and we just played our game. And first couple innings, we didn't do that. I mean, I missed a throw to the plate, and we had the pop-up that fell in for a run, and we weren't playing very well. But we settled in, and we found our groove. I don't want to say we were nervous. I think we were a little too excited, and we relaxed and played well.
How huge is it to know that you're going back at the worst even to your place?
Well, at least we know we get 2 games in the Metrodome, so we get 2 sold-out crowds, hopefully. But you know what? We want to win both games here. We won the first one, and we want to do our best tomorrow. We have Mays going against Mulder, who's been tough, and you know, hey, it doesn't matter. You know, at least we know we get both games in the Metrodome. People didn't even give us a chance to win one. I read the newspaper here today said we're going to lose in 3. So at least we won 1, and we're going for 2 tomorrow.
Anthony John Pierzynski, congratulations. They'll go to try and take those 2 here tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Gary. A.J. Pierzynski, his Minnesota Twins have a 1-game-to-none lead over the Oakland Athletics. The best-of-5 series. Game 2 becomes critical for Oakland. We're going to come back. Stay tuned. The heavy underdogs, the Minnesota Twins, have a 1-game-to-none lead in this division series over Oakland. A 7-5 win today. Brad Radke gets the win over Ted Lilly in relief, and Guardado with the save. It started off worse than anybody could have imagined for the Twins. This error by Christian Guzman in the first inning. And then in the second inning, 2 runs came in, starting with that pop-up that nobody caught, and Radke expressed his frustration, but then the Twins began to come back. Corey Koski, a 2-run homer in the third, a big fly off the facing of the second deck. Then in the sixth inning, after they had come on to draw within 1 run, that double by Jacques Jones tied the game, and then Koski untied it, and later on Minkiewicz hit a home run, and so it went for the Minnesota Twins. They win the ball game 7-5. And Joe, Oakland now has to come back, and they have to make sure that their left-handers win these next 2 ball games today or tomorrow, and also in the Metrodome.
But I think 2 things they learned today: they're not going to be able to beat the Minnesota bullpen. I think they realize that, so they're going to have to score their runs early, and they're going to have well-pitched ball games by Mulder and Zito, because that's what they were depending on anyway. So I still think it's going to be a great series, and it'll probably go 4 or 5.
The Twins in the past have won 11 of their 12 games at the Metrodome, and that's what they're holding on to beat Oakland. The final score 7-5. The Cardinals and Diamondbacks later tonight, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, and ABC family. For Joe Morgan, I'm John Miller. So long from Oakland.